I actually enjoy coming in for the meeting, just to listen to them talk, learn everybody's name. Sure. At 8:27, they have a morning huddle that everyone's welcome to come.
Are they called a morning huddle?
Yeah, and yesterday was about leadership. We go over the numbers, and each day they have a different, I guess each one does the motivational piece.
Okay.
So it's enjoyable. For me, I enjoy it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Raymond. How are you today, sir?
Thank you, Henry. See you.
I think just back over there. Can everybody hear me? We're good. Thank you, Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Moving locations because we got a committee meeting, so we're gonna get started here in about 2 minutes. I'm letting everybody kind of find where we're at today. So if y'all will hang tight, we'll get rocking and rolling.
I left my readers at the house. Sworn with that, too. My wife never laughed so much. She had new readers about 2 years ago, and I had ERK surgery. When I was a military. So I went to 20/20 vision. I had 8 problems, and then this last year, I'm like, I can't see small stuff anymore. So she's been laughing at me.
I got 44.
Uh,
Ophthalmologist said, "You live beyond 2 years on normal cycle for men, 2 years." And I said, "Thank you very much." Since then, I had to I found out last week she has to have cataract surgery. Yesterday morning, we were talking to the physician. And she said, "It's $1,200
Yeah, my mother-in-law just had her first one done. Yeah, hers. Yeah, her insurance covered it too. Yeah. But it's not.
And then, hey, we can do this. But we're gonna have a good time doing this.
Yeah, I mean, that's all. I look at it as like, I actually went through my phone roster. I'm like going, well, half these people, half the stuff that's in here is junk. And I was like, I'm probably the most non-social person out there. So I've got to sit there and basically start the process of relationship building.
Yeah.
That's the whole.
I told my wife last night, I said, I gotta go through my daytime. Find out who's there, who's last time. I can remember.
Well, yeah, and there's some people there, I'm like going, I don't even know who they are. I have no idea who they are. So apparently, I haven't talked to them in like decades, and almost have no idea who they are. So like, and of course, the other part is what Hunter's saying, is like, I know there are some people in there, it's like, never want to talk to them. Even that, I'll never talk to them even for the rest. I'm like, I might as well delete it out, because never gonna talk to them. Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, so I said, you know, so I've already talked to my wife. Yeah, I've only got 6 people in my contact thing right now. It's my wife, my best friend, and then my son. So that's, you know,
All right.
start somewhere.
Thank you guys for the flexibility today. I'll probably end up moving my computer here so that they can face backwards. All right. Everybody online, you guys are good? You can hear me? You see Ellen's pretty face on the screen? Beautiful. Well, welcome back to official day 2 of Ignite. Super excited. This one's probably, if there was ever an important day, this one's one of the bigger ones, because today's focus is on lead generation. And we're going to get outside the box. That's one of the things I really like to stress is, man, there's no right answer in this business. And so we're going to talk about a bunch of different ways to lead generate, and kind of just some popular ways, but this is where you can start thinking outside the box and kind of how you want your business to run. Give you some examples. I think I've told you guys I had an agent told me she wanted to play golf for a living. Like I asked her what she wanted to do. She was like, I just want to play golf. But I also have to sell houses so that I can afford to play golf. And so like I told her, what if we could do both? And so we built a lead generation strategy for that agent that centered around her being on a golf course 5 days a week. She just could no longer go up to Canyon Creek and play with the same 3 people she played with every single day. She's now a member of 4 different country clubs, plays 5 days a week with random threesomes every time. She golfs 18 holes, it's about 4 hours on the course. You're gonna get to talk to some people. So while she may not be making 100 connections a day, she's making 3 really good connections every day. Had another agent asked her what she loved to do. She was like, I really just like dogs. People kind of bother me. You know, the more I watch the news, I'm not so sure that's not a bad opinion. But we built her whole business around dogs. Instead of marketing towards finding a home for the humans, she markets to find a home for your furry friend. She goes to dog parks every day for lead generation, creates little home-baked treats, passes them out with her business cards. She's a realtor for your dog. It's cute, it's kitschy, and she does very well because of it. And so when I say think outside the box, that's the sort of stuff I'm talking about. It's really tough to be all things to everybody. So find the things that you're gonna enjoy, wake up, that excites you, and build a business around that. And I promise you'll put more into it. If you believe in it and believe in what you're trying to build and have some ownership in it, you're gonna wake up fired up every day. If you wake up every day and you're just doing what someone else has told you to do, which is what I did my first couple of years in real estate, it's gonna suck. It is, it's not fun. You don't believe in it. My first couple of years, I was holding open houses. I didn't really understand the value of being able to hold an open house. I didn't realize how lucky I was to be on a team where I could get an open house anytime I wanted. So I felt like, to me, my first couple of years in open house was just, I was doing it because my parents had a listing and somebody needed to hold the damn thing open. And all of a sudden, about year 3, that mind shift started to switch, and I started doing things more for myself and realized I needed to be purposeful. If I was going to give up time on my weekend, then this needed to be something I believed in and felt like I could get business in. And my whole attitude about open houses changed, and it became a big part of my business. And so it's a lot about mindset, and we're going to kind of interweave mindset in throughout this. But before we get rocking and rolling today, I always like to have a fun laugh. So we're going to watch this fun little 3-minute video with Ellen. Anybody in here an Ellen fan? I think she had a tough 2020. Turns out, and maybe not the nicest person off camera, but she's still funny.
Awesome.
I don't know how that's going to air, but we'll see. This is a Craigslist ad for an apartment in Seattle. Spectacular views, 3 bedrooms, 1.75 baths, washer dryer, no dogs, up to 28 cats allowed. If you'd like to see the unit, there's an open house on Sunday, or you can just watch quarters. I don't even understand that ad. Here's a listing for a house in Orange County. It says a spacious 2-bedroom house, newly renovated kitchen, hardwood floors, lots of closet space. See photos. Let's see the first one. All right. Well, you know, when you add flowers, it really does help sell a house. So they're not taking chances. They put 2 vases there with flowers. Let's see another room. There's some flowers. That's perfect right there. Where should I put it? Just right there. That's good. Let's see if they did that with another room. They did. That's just, it opens up the room when you see a photo like that. Here's the last one. This is outside, and there's the flowers. I'm happy to report the house was purchased by a lovely family of hummingbirds. This is a house in Portland. There's an amazing 2,400 square foot home in Northwest Heights, totally renovated, beautiful views. Here's a picture they included in the bathroom. It seems beautiful. Look at the view. Look at that.
I don't know how that happened.
Oh, my
Sit
God.
back out if you want. Yeah.
That's a thing.
Oh, today was a picture day? I had no idea. You know what that photo needed? Flowers. You wouldn't see them. If you see a real estate industry, you can get to see send it.
All right, I just wanted to start us off with a laugh. The naked shower guy, though, always reminds me of was showing a home to some good friends, and the master bedroom door was shut. And we asked the husband, probably in his early 80s, if we could go on and look into the master bedroom. And he said, yeah, nobody's back there. And so we went into the bedroom, and then we walked into the bathroom, and his wife was in the middle of showering. And I mean, it petrified my buyers. And we walked out, and this 80-year-old man was just laughing and laughing. Just thought it was the funniest thing that he had always violated his wife's privacy like that. So it was interesting. So you never know what you're going to come across when you're out there showing homes. And that's a big thing, you know, I tell that as a joking, funny story, but really when you are out showing homes, I know some of you guys are going to start going out and previewing homes and doing other things this week. One thing to keep in mind, and always in this job, is your safety. You don't know who you're going to be meeting. Be careful about going out and becoming what we call a Pop-Tart realtor. You get a call from somebody randomly. We had a cop in once, and he was telling us, he's like, you guys have got to be some of the biggest idiots I've ever met. You could get a call right now from a random stranger asking you to meet them out 20 miles outside of the city in a vacant neighborhood full of vacant lots, and you idiots, if the price is right, will rush right out there without doing any research on the person you're meeting, without telling anybody who you're going out to meet, without telling anybody where you're going, having anybody that checks up on you. So safety's got to keep that in mind. In 12 years, I've never had anything horrible happen to me. Worst thing I've had happen was the naked lady in the shower, and walked into a shed once, and there was a dude at probably 10:30 in the morning drinking a Steel Reserve 40 on the ground. And we both just scared the living S out of each other. And then he asked me, do I need to leave? And I go, well, you're welcome to stay, but my clients are on their way, and they're 2 Dallas police officers, and they own this home. So, and they were on their way. So he got out of there. Turns out, talking to the clients, they knew who it was. It was an older gentleman in the neighborhood with some special needs, lived about 2 streets over, so it wasn't the most uncommon thing to have him breaking into people's backyards and drinking a beer at 10:30 in the morning. So luckily they were pretty cool about it. But yeah, you just never know. You're in an open house. We're going to talk a lot about like open houses over the next couple of days. You're in an open house, somebody comes in and things just don't feel right. Step outside. If you need to, call the police. That's what they're there for, is to serve and protect, and they'll gladly come. My mom was doing an open house probably 3-4 weeks ago, and I guess a group of it was close to $1 million home, and a group of probably 22, maybe even younger, about 4 kids walked in, and they said they were waiting on their parents, and their parents were meeting them over there, and I'm like, dude, I've been 18. I've never gone to an open house just to hang out with my parents on a Saturday afternoon. Something felt weird to her. Happened to be in my neighborhood, right down the street from me. So she called me, and I just came and hung out until they left. And about 2 minutes after I showed up, they left. I don't know what their plan was, whether they were kind of casing the house, steal stuff from it, whether they were just kind of bored on a Saturday and been driving around smoking and drinking and wanted a cool house to hang out at. I've done some stupid things when I was a kid, so I have no idea what was going through their mind. Just something didn't feel right. And so if you're ever in those situations, just get yourself out of them. Step out to the backyard, step out to the front yard. We'll talk when we talk about showing houses, some things that you do and some of the don't. But safety is always first and foremost. Never park your car in a driveway. Easy to get blocked in that way. Always keep yourself on the street. I never walk into a room first. If we were showing this office, I'd kind of hang out here as they walk in, and I'd kind of hang by the doors as they walked into the rooms, and I'll go in with them, but I always make sure I can get out of that room. Now, as a guy, I'll tell you, that stuff doesn't always occur to me. I know our female agents are probably much more cognizant of that. I've learned that working with like first-time home buyers. I'll never forget, I had a young lady I was helping buy a house, and she kept saying she wanted a home, and she would rule them out because like if it had a back door. I'm like, well, why? And finally explained, she's like, I've had a stalker for the last 2 years. I don't want 2 exits to my house. I want 1 exit that I can see from my bedroom that I know I have locked every night. Totally made sense to me. I just had never kind of thought that. So just be aware of your surroundings. If something feels wrong, get yourself out of that situation. There's no commission that's worth risking your safety for it. All agree? Cool.
I have a question. So we're gonna start doing some of the viewings and all that. Yeah, you told us the agent viewing, right?
Yeah, preview.
The vacant place.
Uh-huh.
Agent viewing.
It's previewing.
Previewing. Since I've never done it before, can I bring one of my brokers with me?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have put with Tanya, right? It's just not.
Yeah. She's going out previewing a home with you. You're totally good there. When you host an open house, I like to have a partner. So my mom and I typically will do open houses together, or I'll team up with another agent. There's a couple reasons. A, safety, obviously. B, especially the market we're in right now, it's a really hot market. You hold a open house on the first weekend, you may have 20, 30, 40 people come through in a 2 to 3 hour span. That is too many people to me. I can't possibly have a meaningful conversation with any of those folks because second I start talking to Katie, Kevin walks in the door. Second, I'm trying to say hello to Kevin, So walks in the door. The second So walks in, Ray walks in the door. So really what I become is almost just a flyer hander outer guy. Hey, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, listed at $325. Hey, thanks for coming. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, $325. And then I'm trying to get back to you as you're walking out the door. And people kind of figure out quickly if you're distracted how to get through the house without having to talk to you. And obviously, typically my homes are occupied. So there's a lot of nice things in those homes. So it, while I'm over here trying to deal with this couple, that couple just walked out the door with a flat screen TV. You just never know. So I like having a partner because it allows me to then have a meaningful conversation. When she walks in, I say, hey, and then my partner will go and handle her so that you and I can continue our conversation. And so I just 50-50 leads when I split it with people. So if you know you're going to be doing a super busy open house, highly recommend that. I'm in a really big house for the more safety reasons and kind of protecting the valuable stuff in the room. That way, even if one of us kind of goes around with the client, somebody's always stationed by the front door to see who's coming in, who's coming out. Now, these days, obviously, a lot of homes are equipped with cameras. Just assume if you are showing a home, there are cameras in the house. I explain that to my clients. Assume we're being recorded. Assume they can hear everything you say. Used to, talk a little trash about the house while you're in there. Try not to do that. I try to wait till we get out to the curb. See, a lot of agents, we go in, we show the house, and we kind of come back out to the curb with the clients before we head to the next one. And that's where we do so what do you guys really think of the house? Because I just these days assume I'm being recorded. And so that's stuff to just keep in mind. Before we dive in, I want to show everyone, we're going to do a couple days a week. We're going to do a little bit of technology before we dive into the content. So today I want to show you guys how to get into the MLS and how to set up a save, search, and the book is showing. Sound good? Who in here has MLS access? 1, 2, still need it? Okay. So if you need help with anything MLS, let me know, and you can always borrow my login if you need to. I didn't say that out loud, but if need be. Guys, how about you guys online? Who does not have MLS access? I know I got a few agents that are still waiting on taking their test. You don't have MLS access, and you can help let me know and I will gladly do so. So we're gonna switch over.
It looks like for the 10 by 8, we just have the original ballot landing on. Nothing's really competing with that. And these are for 6 by 4.
So the MLS is at netris.net.
Right. And
NETRIS stands for North Texas
we
Real
can look
Estate
at this
Information
in
System.
silver versus gold.
MLS
So there's
is
2 tabs on this worksheet. So if you go to the silver tab,
hub that all the
Yep.
data goes to.
for the African ruby, that might be
consumer facing.
'Cause I believe that's what our other ones are in too, are in silver.
Yeah, we're
It was
doing
originally
African
and
silver
really
and the
still is
Philippines
intended to
and
be a
14
collection of
Yep,
data.
yep, exactly.
Massive
So if
amount
you
of
need
data on all
any
the
more
It is
silver
proprietary
items
to
in the
real estate
African,
agents.
we do have some
You have to
counterparts
be
here, is
licensed.
what they were trying to help us out with.
Can you mute yourself, please?
And it's kind of our secret spot to
I think
find all the
that,
information. So when you come into Netris, you're going to go into systems login. And I know a lot of you
I
are
think it was
going
the
to take the
Vega
Netris
Halo
class
too.
through
I think that's
CCAR.
pretty,
So this is
but
hopefully
the
a
pendant,
Hey,
second
Hunter,
opportunity to see this.
SAPH-02,
Hunter,
very classic.
can
That
you
was
mute
retail for
website
Lauren?
will
$99.
make you
I don't know
change
if
your
it's too
password
classic,
probably
though.
every, I think it's like 6 months. I just
Hunter,
add a different number on the same password every time.
Yep,
So
Hunter,
when you log in, you've got this main screen. For the
I think it's
most
the
part,
fifth
we're gonna
one
be
down.
focused
Oh,
on
no,
the
it's more
Netris
than that.
matrix,
1,
the
2, 3,
top
4,
left
5, 6.
little tab here. Netris Tax will get you into the tax records. Trends gives you a really good idea of kind of being able to run stats. The rest of those I don't use outside of Cloud CMA.
Anything in there that you like?
That's the main one I use. I'm sure there's great tools they can teach us
I
about
think
at
the ones on the
CCAR,
bottom are all too
but
small
almost
unless
my business comes
we did
from
like a
Netris
Hey,
ruby
Matrix.
Hunter.
sapphire emerald
Hey,
where somebody
Hunter.
could stack like that
So you
pair
click on
that's
Netris Matrix.
east-west,
oh my God.
R1632, but I feel like it needs friends.
That brings you in here. This is your home page. Your home page, everything can be edited. So you can move things around to where you kind of want them. One of the things you're able to do right here is this market watch. You can keep it on your front page and you can customize a search. So if I'm farming an area or if I have a particular part of the Metroplex that I want to focus on,
Or it
what I
needs
would do in
like
this
where you
market
could
watch is
stack
come in
them.
and hit
So like if we
customize,
had a pair,
and you'll set
blue
up a search.
sapphire
So
and
right now, as you
emerald,
can see, the
or
only thing I
even,
have selected on this search is Collin
yeah,
County.
or just different
It's the
colors,
focus of my business.
where you
But
could
that way, every
stack
morning
them
when I go
together
to
or flip them
home,
one way, other way, and one way, and you could create that stackable.
I can take a quick glance and see in the last
Finger
7
layer
days
them
in
with
Collin
your other
County, we've had
stackables.
158 listings, 43
I don't
homes
know,
back
that
on
one
the
can
market,
stand on its
48
own
homes with a
though.
price decrease.
Right.
Seeing that many homes with a price
Maybe too
decrease tells you a
delicate.
little
Yeah.
something. Tells me that the market's maybe softening just
But
a
again,
little.
I
But, you know,
like the
good
Baguette
homes are still
ones.
selling quickly, but
Or
homes
we
that
can
are
just leave it with
overpriced
what we
maybe
got,
sitting on the
just sitting
market for a
in.
minute, and we're starting to see agents having to aggressively
This
price
is just a
correct.
deal though, so
use
if
the
the
term
deal's
price
gone
correct
when we
or
go
adjustment.
back, just know that this is
Price
a deal.
increase, active kickout, active opt-in contract, active contingent, 240 pending,
And again, you
249
can buy
sold.
them for months down the
So
road
I see
as long as we
240
know you're
pending
gonna
and
buy them. So
249
like
sold.
going closer
And I only had
to
158
July
new
or
listings in the last
whichever,
7
but
days.
as long
What's
as you
that
know
tell
you're
me?
gonna use them, I don't have a
I don't have a
problem
lot
with
of
committing
inventory.
to them. It's just I need to
We're
know
selling
that
more
you're
than we
gonna
have.
purchase them.
That's the
Exactly.
biggest issue we're seeing in the market today is lack
Hey,
of
Hunter.
inventory. There's just not a
13, how many
ton
of
of
the 6
available
by
homes.
4s did
You
we
talk
have?
to any agent here in the market center
Oh,
that's got 6
we
months
have plenty
experience,
of
they'll probably
those. It
tell
was
you, I've
the
met
10,
with a
it was
seller
the
that
larger
would sell
ruby.
today
I
if
think
they
we
knew
had
where
a
the heck
dozen
they
of
were
those,
gonna
didn't
go.
we? I have to go back.
10 by 8 is 14.
And a lot of people that
7
would love to
millimeter,
sell
17
just don't know where they
and
would
6
go
millimeter,
because the market's so
13.
tight.
Yeah.
One of the ways to overcome that objection is first to say, certainly, Ray, I absolutely understand that. That'd be a huge concern of mine too if I was about to sell my house, where I might
These
move.
are kind of
One thing I
kilos
want
are
you to
very
keep in mind, Raymond, is when we go under
like you
contract,
said,
we can actually
the
negotiate as a part of this
SAPH-02
contract
is
what's
for,
called a temporary leaseback, so that after you
I
close
was going
on
through
your
some
home,
show summaries
you would
last
be allowed
night,
to stay in
and
it for up to
the
90 days as kind of a temp.
SAPH-03 has mixed
This would
feedback.
allow us to close and fund on your home
Okay.
and then be able to go out,
Fit into as
use
well as I
those funds
expected
and
them
find
to.
your next home without being under such
Is
a
that the
time
three
crunch.
stone one?
So if that's something that would interest
That's
you, I'd
what
love to talk about that a little bit further. So I've been able to get some
So it's
folks
got
with
the
that
baguettes
script
around
that
it?
are, okay, I
Okay.
didn't know that that was something we could do. Maybe we could be able to find a house if we had 90 days. We just don't want to be under the gun in 30
And what's
days.
the center on that
So
one?
that gives you some leeway there.
The
So
coon
keep that
site
in
or
mind.
which?
There were some diamond ones that
Okay.
have that feature on them,
Right
just kind of
through
a
the
guess
MLS.
as the halo, and I guess I
Yep.
expected it
So
to be
when
more well
you,
received, but
Okay.
sell a home and it closes,
that one I'm a little weary on,
you have to go in and
but
change the
Right.
status. it is a violation of Netris if you do not. When it moves into the pending, you have, when you sign up for the MLS, you're making a commitment that I will update my listings, and you can get fined if you don't. How it will happen, you're like, well, how that, the other agent, if I'm the buyer's agent and I want it for my stats, I want to be able to show that I sold that home. And so when I log in and I see it's still pending, I'm going to call the MLS and say, hey, I was the buyer's agent on 123 Main Street and I'm seeing it showing as pending. Can you help me get that changed? They scrub that pretty hard. There are agents out there that, I don't want to call them tattletales,
You have to
but
learn all
I got a
these
good buddy of mine
hacks.
that I swear he spends an hour a day
Oh,
just going through the MLS, like looking for violations.
Yeah, what kind of
You know,
laptop did
yesterday
you
I think I
get?
pulled up a listing and there was a sign in the front picture.
Okay,
That's a violation. You cannot have your marketing, anything with branding on it cannot be in your picture.
mhm,
We just did a virtual
Lightweight.
tour for one of my
Yeah, it's
listings.
pretty
So I
lightweight.
get two
Yeah,
versions of it,
I'm
one
sure
that's
you'll
unbranded, one that is branded.
transport it back and forth.
Unbranded, I can use on the
easy.
MLS.
I'm
The
grateful
branded
with
ones for like
laptop.
my
It was,
website,
extra
putting it on
big heavy
Facebook,
laptop, an
me
extra
promoting the
phone.
listing, but on MLS, gotta be unbranded.
Here, I'm happy just to have
And
my
so that's
phone
something you
and
wanna be
one-
cognizant of.
Yeah,
I had like a Surface tablet, we had iPads.
So
like,
I come up,
multiple computers.
it's nice, you can see my office active listings.
Okay, so I want.
If I just click on that tab, and you can see everything that we at the Market Center have. A lot of leases, but we do have quite a few active. So when we start talking about open houses, that's a way to get in quickly and find listings here at this Market Center. Those of you who are starting to doing open houses, I have confirmed this with our broker. So we have a lack of inventory, right? So even here in the office, we don't have enough homes for every agent that wants to hold an open house to hold it open.
Oh, you know what, can I call you back? Maybe
I've
it's
confirmed with the
call.
broker,
Yep,
you
not a
are
problem.
permitted to
Thank
hold
you.
an open house for another brokerage. So if I were really wanting to farm a neighborhood, say it's Deerfield and Plano, and we don't currently have any listings in Deerfield, but I see an Ebby agent's got a really sweet one right on the corner, 2 streets away from where I live. Say it's just, man, I'd love a listing like that. These are what I'm looking for. I'd love to pick up buyers in this area. I know this area really well. Then I may reach out to that Ebby agent and ask permission that, hey, noticed you've got a brand new listing over off of Jupiter Drive. Wanted to see if I could hold it open for you either Saturday or Sunday. I'm available anytime. And so I may be given that opportunity. Now, I'll be honest, you have a much better chance of an agent helping you out and getting you an open house if it's an agent within our Market Center. Your second best bet is if it's a Keller Williams agent at another Market Center. Third best bet is if it's an agent at another brokerage. On the reverse, we are not allowed to allow another brokerage to hold our open houses. So if they want to allow it, that's a-okay. You can host it. We can't go out and get an Ebby agent to host my open house. Good news is we've got over 400 agents here at this Market Center. Lots of them love doing open houses, so you should never have to go find an agent with another brokerage. You're always going to have good volunteers here. So we do a whole class on open houses. Reason why you're going to hear us stress open houses, and we're going to talk about them today in the lead generation portion, is open houses are a great source of business today. While I'm building that database, while I'm building a pipeline, open houses allow me to pick up buyers that are ready to rock and roll. The average buyer that does plan on purchasing that comes to an open house will purchase within 66 days, according to the National Association of Realtors. So it means from going to their first open house to being under contract within 2 months. So for a lot of us, the honest truth is I got friends and family that were willing to do business with me day one, but I also had a good portion of my friends and family that kind of like to stand on the sidelines. They're not sure, are you really getting into real estate, or is this just, another one of those MLM schemes? Is it any different than you selling Scentsy or body wraps or whatever the popular product of the moment is? All of a sudden, after my first year in real estate, when they see me posting on Facebook, all these open houses I do, all these clients I work with, congratulations to the Smith family, congratulations to my first time home buyer, John, congratulations to this family that I'm helping get into the retirement home. All of a sudden, those same people that were kind of like, we may work with, they get off the fence. They're not ready to work with me because they now see, man, this guy's doing this at a professional level. This is a career. So while I'm trying to convert some of those folks, I got to go find business today. Open houses is a great source to go pick up those buyers. Potentially sellers. I get a lot of seller leads at open houses. Neighbors love to check out their neighbor's home. Any of you guys ever do that when something in your neighborhood goes on the market? You see the open house sign Saturday afternoon, man, let's go over and walk and just kind of check it out. There are people that really love the real estate of their neighborhood, and they should. It's a huge investment you've made. So I kind of want to check out what are the neighbors' homes selling for. Rooting for good comps. You know, when I see a new home go up in my neighborhood, one of them went up about a month ago, way overpriced. But boy, I was rooting like hell for them to get that price, because if we can get that as a comp in the neighborhood, that helps everybody. Yes, sir. Yep. Cool. If you guys aren't on mute, if you could mute yourselves, I'm gonna make sure everybody's on mute. Looks like we are. Sorry if we had some feedback. Is the sound quality good now? Rock and
Hey,
roll.
Hunter.
Hunter,
Hunter.
Yes, sir.
we have a point of contact here for open houses. If we, for example, needed somebody to see our house,
Mhm.
is there a point of contact here, or do we just?
Probably the best way to get a message out here with the quickest response time for something like that is the Keller Williams Central Solutions page. So
I've seen postings.
yep. So if you guys, that's a great point. If you aren't on, if you aren't on Facebook, it's close to being an almost required tool these days, it feels like. And I know it's toxic, and I know everybody's got new opinions on social media this week, especially. But it's a really good tool when you use it for business. If it weren't for business, I would not probably continue to be. Keller Williams Central Solutions.
Also saw, what's the other internal platform? I saw two advertisements.
So there's the intranet.
Yeah, on the internet, there's two people I saw that posted.
We'll send out posts on there. It just probably doesn't get as many responses, and especially as quick. So if I had an open house and I needed it filled quickly, Central Solutions is really good for, I see agents on there asking for vendors quite a bit, asking for, hey, I'm dealing with this situation. Hey, I'm working with this home builder. So it's just a way to kind of share and mastermind with agents. So I highly recommend logging into that. Other group I always follow, Lab Coat Agents on Facebook, LABCOAT Agents, was started by two Keller Williams agents, Nick Baldwin and Tristan Amuda. Nick's out of Michigan, Tristan is out of California. I think it's well over 100,000 members now. It's a good mastermind forum. Issue with lab coats is because it's gotten so big, it can also get pretty toxic pretty quick. As you can imagine, Facebook, all these pages. I was on a Keller Williams page yesterday, and somebody asked about whether we have to be in business with Facebook and Google because of the bans, and it was a very slanted post in one direction, and boy, I watched it. The post went up, and within 4 minutes, they had locked the comments and taken it down. And it took it that long to devolve into just F you. I'm like, well, God, we're the same company. Well, that's the culture we're going for here, guys. So, world's a little crazy these days, and I don't know that it's going to get better in the near future. So, Central Solutions is huge, though. I use it all the time. But back over to Matrix. So we're going to go into search today. You're going to go down to quick. So residential, you can go to quick or detailed. Quick is going to give you just the basic parameters of a search. Detailed is going to give me the lot more criteria. However, on the quick search, I can add criteria to search for. So let's say I just met with a buyer today that wants to purchase in Plano. They're looking pre-approved up to 400,000, needs 3 bedrooms, 2 baths plus. So I'm going to set up a search, and what I want to do is I don't want to just set up and run this search today, and then I have to get in tomorrow and run the search again, see if there's anything new, and then on Thursday do it again. I want to run it today and not have to do this again. So I'm going to show you how to run the search, but then to set it up so that anytime a new home comes on the market, it would automatically update you. anytime a home came back on the market, it will update you via email. So gets her home under contract, the buyer does the inspections, they want the foundation completely repaired. They want 85 piers put into the home, even though the report came back that no, the home's foundation is fine. They don't care. They want it taken down to the bedrock. Well, so sellers are like, we're not putting in 85 piers. The foundation's fine. There's not a crack in the house. So what happens is that buyer would then probably opt out if that was a deal killer for them. Then that home comes back on the market. Why? We get an email letting me know, hey, this home just became available again if you were interested. The third way it will send me an update is if there's a price reduction. Maybe I'm going to set my parameter at 400,000, and maybe a home at 410 decides they're going to drop to 400,000 because they can get a whole new pool of buyers. And so I'll get an email notification. And that's something to keep in mind when you're setting up a listing price for a seller. Think of how a buyer searches. I'll see an agent take that home and reduce it from 410 to 405. To me, that doesn't do you a whole lot of good. It's not a very significant change in price. And I'm probably not capturing any new buyers, because how are you going to set up a search? If I got a buyer pre-approved to 400, I don't ask them to spend more money than they've told me they want to. So my search is going to be set up from 350 to 400. So you took a home at 410, and to try to get more showings, you had to reduce the price, but you still missed a chunk of buyers whose cutoff was 400. That's why, to me, these agents that do these fancy list price of $399,999. Well, am I too loud? I'll try to tone down. You'll see people list at $399,999. And the issue there is, what if I had a buyer that was looking up to 500 and I started their search from 400 to 500? I miss seeing your listing over $1. That's silly. Buyers and buyers agents, we search by 0, 25, 50. So as a listing agent, I should price my home with 0s, 25s, and 50s, because I need to get in the mind of who I'm trying to sell this house to. We're not dummies. I think we all have figured out that $399,000, $999 is really $400,000. I mean, I guess there's some psychology that makes me think I'm buying a home in the 300,000s, but I can pretty quickly know that if I just add $1 on, I'm buying a $400,000 home. So that's something to keep in mind. Don't try to get too cute and too smart. But all right, so I'm going to start looking for my buyer in Plano. Right now, since I'm working with a buyer, I only want active listings and potentially coming soon. It's fairly new in the MLS. You're now allowed to market a home for up to 14 days coming soon. You cannot allow other showings on that home. So it needs to be marketed. I can't let just a neighbor come in. I can't show preferential treatment and let you guys go view my listing. It's in the coming soon until all agents can see it. No agents can see it. Don't take advantage of that. We'll lose the coming soon feature if agents abuse that. And I think a lot of us will tell you it's a great way to get a little extra buzz around your listing, so that the day I do start showings, I got people walking and filing in a line. So I'm going to take out active contingent, active kick out, and active option. Active contingent means it has a contingent offer on it. That could be a contingent upon the sale of another home. It could be contingent upon financing. So a lot of people don't realize that a financed offer, until I have loan approval, is a contingent offer. It's contingent upon me getting that loan. Most people, when they think contingency, think of the contingent upon you selling another home. That, of course, is going to have a little more, as a seller, I'm a little less likely to take that offer than one that's only contingent on financing, as long as you have a really good pre-approval letter from a lender that I can verify with. So I set up my search criteria. For this one, we're going to just do a pretty quick and easy search. City of Plano. So I said it's a $400,000 buyer. So I'm going to look, we'll maybe even go 325 to 400. So you can see that little checkbox there is showing me that the last 3 zeros are assumed. In other words, if I need to search 325,000 to 400,000, I just put 325 to 400. It will add those last 3 zeros on. So they told me they want a 3-bedroom. Now what I asked them is, do you want a 3-bedroom or 3 or more bedrooms? Would you be okay if it was a 4-bedroom or a 5-bedroom home? If they only want a 3-bedroom, I would leave it as just total bedrooms 3. Now, if they told me we're okay with a 3 or more, all I have to do is hit 3+. So watch on that bottom left-hand corner, you can see it's tough to see up here, but you see the clear, and then next to it, it says 34 matches. So it will show me how many homes. So if I was just looking for 3 bedrooms, I only had 14 matches. If I want 3 or more, all of a sudden I have 34 matches. Total baths, it's going to be the same thing. If I only wanted 2 baths, 2. A lot of people are okay if it had the half bath or even a 3rd bath. So I hit 2+. Didn't really change anything. My square footage, maybe they want 1,500 square feet or more. Because if I just left it at 1,500, I have 0 matches. Because none of those 34 listings are exactly 1,500 square feet. They're all a little bit bigger, so 1,500 plus. You can also search by year built, number of stories, number of garage spaces, total covered parking. Say they also told me, oh, we forgot to tell you, we want a pool. What I do, since that's not on the main criteria, is you come down here to add and remove at the bottom left corner. You hit add or remove. And you come in on the search side and you type in what you're looking for, pool, yes or no, and I hit add. Now I had already had it on there, but you can see I've added some other things onto my search over on that right-hand side under selected fields. Then I just hit back, and now when I scroll back down on that far left side, I've got all these added things that I added in. So we wanted a pool. So I go to pool, yes, no, yes. Now I'm down to 6 matches. I can always toggle either on the bottom left here or the top right between my criteria. I can click map. It will pull up a map of those listings. Maybe my client told me we really want to be west of Coit Road. We want in Plano, but we want to be on the west side of Coit Road for whatever reason. So I can come up here and use these tools, a radius, a rectangle. I like the polygon the most. Using the map takes some practice. But you just, no, my normal mouse, I'm not very good with a touchpad. You click. You click, and then I just come back and I connect them. And now I have a box where I can rule out anything that was on the other side of town. Or if, they called me back, they said, oh, we were kidding. We don't care which side of Coit Road we live on. We want them all. Then I just come in and I hit delete shape. And now I get all my listings back. Now to see my listings, I come over to results here. Now I've got my listings. So as you can see, I've got 1 coming soon and 5 active homes. Over here on the flag, you see these little ends. What that means is that it's a new listing within the last 7 days. Sometimes you'll see a B for back on market, or sometimes you'll see a dollar bill sign for price reduction. This little box right here with a door tells me it's got an open house schedule. If I wanted to click on the MLS number, that's the 8-figure identification number that it's sorted in the MLS. I just click on the hyperlinked MLS number and that will pull up my MLS sheet. Now we'll do another class where we're going to dive into the MLS sheet and really understanding it. Today, the focus is going to be on just setting up that save search. But so this is your MLS sheet. I can get back to the map, back to criteria, or if I want to get back to seeing the results, I go to the top up here and hit agent single line display. That gets me back to these homes. So what I want to do though is set this up to email out. So I want to send all these listings. Now I can highlight these. I can come down to email right here and I can just send it out one time. But then I would have to manually do this every time. So we want to set it up so that we don't have to run this every time. So instead of under actions, we're going to go to this save tab right here. Click on save and go to new auto email. So that'll bring up this screen. You will need to create a contact. This is different than the command system where our database is. So I create a contact. I've got a test dummy already created. I always blind carbon copy myself on these emails because I want to get the search. Say I've got a home search set up for Kevin, and Kevin and I haven't talked for 2 weeks. We went out and looked at a home right before the New Year's. We haven't connected since then. All of a sudden I get an email this morning that says Kevin home search, and I think it's a really awesome house. It's in the neighborhood he told me he wants to live in. It's got the pool. It's got the master downstairs. It's everything he wanted in a home. I now know to reach out to him and say, hey, Kevin, did you see a new listing over there off of Maple Leaf Drive? Oh my gosh, look at that backyard. It's amazing. I've got some time available this afternoon or tomorrow if you want to go take a look at it. So it's prompting me sometimes to reach out to clients so that they don't miss an opportunity on a home. So I title all my subjects the name of the client. Reason being is I'm going to have a search set up for you, for you, for you, for you. So I get these results all day. I need to make sure who I'm seeing them for. Oh, Ray, he's looking for those condos in North Dallas. Oh my gosh, this is a great one. Now I know to reach out to Ray. So it gives me an idea of who I'm getting these homes for. Sends a pretty generic little welcome email. Welcome to the portal. All messages I send to you containing listing information, those I send you manually as well as those I set our system to send you automatically will contain a link to your personalized page on the portal. You can access the portal with your favorite web browser where you'll be able to view the listing information I've prepared for you in several different formats. For your convenience, you'll be able to sort these listings and categorize them. You'll be able to see all associated photographs, and you'll be able to see them pinned on a map, a high-level area photograph, or a low-level bird's eye photograph. Then my signature, you can edit that. Then it shows me my criteria that we had just set up. Then here in settings, so enable concierge mode. Concierge mode means that I have to approve the home before it will send it out. Now, why on earth would I ever do that? Maybe you have a client who, for religious reasons, needs a home that faces a certain direction. That's not all that uncommon in this area. There's no search criteria for that. I cannot search for south-facing, west-facing, east-facing homes. It should be a criteria. There's enough demand, I think. It's not. And I don't want to send them homes that don't match. Inevitably, if it faces the wrong direction, it's going to be the one they fall in love with. And then they're going to fall in love with a house that we can't buy, and now their expectations are for that home, and we're never going to find one that's just as nice that faces the right direction. So this way, I get the email first that says, hey, we've got one new listing we would like to send to Ray. Will you approve it? And I can manually go on, pull up the map, and see which direction does the home face. Great, it faces the direction he's looking for, boom, send it out. So I very rarely, though, use the concierge mode. Most of the time, I just let it automatically send out. Now, it does default to clicking show this contact and reverse prospecting results. What reverse prospecting results means is, so I got this client looking for up to $400,000 in Plano. So just listed a home that's $375, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with a pool. Matches my criteria, right? She can run a search to find agents who have a client with that criteria. She will not get my client's name, but she can get my name. And so maybe you're going to hold it open this weekend, and maybe you guys are doing a $5,000 realtor bonus with a full price offer if it's sold within the month of January. Awesome. I probably would love to know about that. Might motivate me to call my buyer and see if they want to go take a look at your home. So you can search for who has a search set up that your listing falls into that search, and communicate whatever it is you're hoping to communicate. So I typically leave that clicked. And then the last one, enable is a favorite search on the home tab. That just means when you go to your home page, there's a little favorite search bar with 10 home searches, up to 10. So you could set this up as a favorite search. I don't use my client searches, but I'll set up searches for myself and save them as a saved favorite search. So that if I'm wanting to farm a neighborhood, I can pull up the stats on it at a moment's notice. Last thing is the schedule. So the way it defaults is daily, and it will show me it's going to send it every morning, sends it out at about 5:30 in the morning. I love when my clients like call me and they're like, oh my God, bro, I can't believe you're getting up every day at 5:30 and just like going in, finding us listings. You are the best. Like, yep, you know me, bright and early. Early bird gets the worm. No, I'm still asleep at 5:30 in the morning. It's an hour before my head's getting off that pillow. You can set it up to send it all PM. It'll send it around 5 o'clock in the evening. Now, when I would use that is, let's say I've got an investor and we're searching Plano, Dallas, Frisco, McKinney, Allen, a huge search area, big criteria. I pulled up the initial results and it was like 150 homes. Well, then I only want to send, one email a day, because every day there's a chance 20 homes come on the market that meet that large criteria. However, the search we just ran, there were 6. So odds are maybe on the busiest day, maybe 3 new homes come on the market that are going to meet that criteria. Literally like adding 50% on to my results. So odds are most days I'm not going to have any, or maybe 1, maybe 2 listings. So what I do is I set it to ASAP, because I also know in this market, it's not insane for a listing to go live at 9 a.m. in the morning and to be under contract by 5 o'clock in the evening. Now, I try to tell my sellers we want to allow at least 72 hours for folks to view your home, because I would hate to think that somebody that was going to write an even better offer was stuck at work today and didn't get to see it before 5 o'clock. And by the time they got off work, we've already put the house under contract. But it happens. Even when I've advised a seller that maybe a cash buyer comes in, writes you an amazingly strong offer and says, we're going to give you till 5 p.m. this afternoon. And if we don't have an answer, we're pulling our offer. Well, we were going to wait for 72 hours, but you know what? It was a $20,000 over list price. All cash offer closes in 10 days with no option period. We're going to go ahead and take that offer. I'm sorry to the other buyers, but if you could beat that, like, good for you, but that's good enough for our guys. Take it and run with it. So typically I set it to ASAP, and then all you do is hit save. It takes about 10 minutes before it'll send that first email out, and now your clients will, as homes become available, get emails. When you want to check in on that, you come up to My Matrix and you go to auto emails. And you can see your auto emails. So I can come in, I can check the settings. In other words, how often is it sending? Is it in concierge mode? I can change the criteria. So maybe that client that we were setting up the search for 400,000, maybe, after looking for 2 weekends, they realized we're just not finding what we want. We are pre-approved up to 500. We were hoping to spend 400, but you know what? Let's bump that search up to 450. Cool. I just come in and I change the criteria. Results. So if I want to see what listings they currently have available, I come in and hit results. Same time, I can see date since, I can get a market update, I can open in their portal, or I can delete their auto email. So that's kind of our mini lesson blessed out on the MLS today. Of all the tools I use in the MLS, that is the one I use almost daily, is running auto emails for clients. I like how it allows me to see over on the right-hand side portal visit, so that I can see when they were last online looking. If, I've got a client, maybe I set up 6 months ago, they haven't been searching, and then all of a sudden I see they're coming on and checking their portal, something may have changed. I definitely want to reach out. It creates them for them when you send them the portal. It just sends them a link. It says, click here to view the homes. Great thing to do. Once you have MLS access, set up a search for yourself and use a secondary email. So create a contact for yourself. Either if you're signed up with the MLS with your @KW email, then send it to your @Gmail or @Yahoo. Or if you sign up with your @Yahoo or @Gmail, then send it to your @KW. Make yourself a client so that you can see. When I set up campaigns in the command system, the automatic marketing, the first person I put on every campaign, me, myself, and I want to see what's getting put out there. I don't get overly concerned with the content. I want to make sure it doesn't like say anything bad or stupid or make me look like an idiot. I want to see, is it showing up the right way? Or when I open it up, is all the formatting wrong? So that I can get back in and make any changes. So I make myself the test dummy for almost everything so that I understand what the experience is like for my customer. I want to, like when I sent an offer over, the first thing I did when we moved over to DocuSign was wrote an offer and made myself the client and sent it to myself for signatures so that I could understand when my client calls me and goes, I'm not seeing what I need to. I've got an idea of what the process looks like. So I always make myself the test dummy. So rock and roll. So that is our little mini lesson for the day. Now we're going to hop in and we are going to talk about lead generation. I won't make you guys yell it because we're out in the middle of the hall, but we all know that without leads, what? That's right. That's right.
I have a question about
Yes, ma'am.
open house. Now, when you go kind of do this open house down the neighborhood, do you have to disclose that you're an agent for another company that do this? You know?
Yeah, so I always have my little name badge on.
Okay.
And yeah, even if it's
Just
another
so
Keller
you
Williams, I
wanna
let
say,
them know.
"Yeah, I just want to check it out, you know.
Yep.
See if my client would be interested in.
Yep. So rock and roll. Let's dive in for the day. Up and let's make sure we're sharing the right thing. No, this is not the right lesson.
I thought about this yesterday. So we're putting, I guess, our personal phone number on there, would you suggest getting another one? Because I guess once you get a lot of comments, do you want everybody to have your personal phone number?
You know, I personally don't mind, but I do know the agents that will only that use a Google number
Yeah,
so that they can separate their business from their. Yep. I personally use my personal line, so my best friends call me and my clients call me on that number. It just made it easy for me. Where I will see people use a Google number is if you've got an out of town. So if you just recently moved to town, it is a way to get yourself a local area code so that when you call, it pops up with a local area code. You know, if I'm calling myself the local expert, I probably want a local DFW phone number. So I did when I kept my DFW phone number when I was living on the West Coast. But every time I moved Oregon, California, and Washington, I had a Google number set up there so that I did have a local number. So I'm getting the.
Would there be any like privacy issue or anything that there's?
No, you know, that's probably something I go on like lab coats all the time. It's something I notice a trend. It seems like sometimes the females maybe have an issue. So as a female, it's maybe something you're going to give more thought to. You know, there's creepy dudes out there everywhere. And so having your phone number and not a Google number kind of adds an extra level of protection if you have a number that kind of keeps them away from your personal number. Unfortunately, fortunately, I have never had any issues with stalkers and stuff like that, but I know it has happened. I've seen some of the messages that the female agents get sent on like Facebook Messenger, and man, it makes me hate men sometimes. Like, good God. Like a female agent will post like a picture of their like headshot, and it doesn't take like 5 seconds for dudes to just start like, good gosh, man, especially on a business page. Like, she's asking for professional advice and you're on here trying to get a date from her. Dude, you live 10 states away. Like, what are we doing? But anyways, so we hit on this yesterday, what successful agents do every day. Today, we're really going to be focusing on that left side. We're really going to be focusing on number one. We're going to just be talking about different ways to lead generate for buyers and sellers. We're not going to get into listing presentations. We're not going to get into buyer presentations today. Do want you guys to start previewing real estate. It's fun. Previewing real estate's fun. I enjoy it. Those of you that are more social media savvy, taking photos while you're out there, documenting it, creating videos, create that buzz. so that those folks that are standing on the sideline see that, hey, I'm out there every day. I'm working in real estate. My job is to know the market. And so it's not just studying the numbers, but it's going out and actually seeing homes, finding design trends, seeing what new architecture is up and running. So highly recommend, even after Ignite, making preview in real estate a big portion of your job. And I mean, most agents, when I meet with them and they're brand new and I say, hey, why'd you get into this job? They say, well, I love going to look at homes. And then a lot of agents never go preview homes. So to me, it's a fun activity. Basically, my days as a new agent were spent every morning lead generating. Got to the office by 9, was lead generating until 11:30, took a lunch break, and then one of 3 things happened. I either was in an appointment and actually working with a client, I was in a class getting more education, or I was out previewing homes. And that was kind of every day, 5 days a week. And then on the weekends was open houses for me. And because, yeah, I'll never forget my first year in business. I was sitting at the office. It was like 10:30. My mom had come in for like an hour and then she was leaving. And so I like started packing my bag. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm headed to the pool. It was in the middle of summer. I was like, I'm gonna knock out some time at the pool. And she goes, oh, well, how long have you been doing this? I was like, I'm like my 9th month. She goes, oh, because I'm taking the afternoon off, but I've been doing this for 25 years. So have you earned the pool this afternoon? Boy, I couldn't unpack that bag fast enough. You know what? I think I'm gonna lead generate for another couple hours because, yeah. So get to work with your mom. It's really fun. But today we're gonna focus on number 1, lead generate for business. But we know that really what we're gonna focus on the last 2 weeks is the run business side. But today is all about lead generating for business. They highlight it. So the lead generation model. So you're gonna see this pretty much on every lesson we teach. We're going to go over this lead generation model. So they divide it by prospecting and marketing, and that's how we create leads and contacts. And the way they categorize it is leads are the people you haven't talked to yet. They're the people that I am marketing myself to, prospecting to, but I'm not in a relationship or a conversation with. Tracking and offering, basically one-way and offer-based touch system. Leads are, in this situation, are maybe I'm farming a neighborhood. I don't know most of the neighbors. So right now they're a lead. It's a one-way conversation. Every one of my marketing pieces will have what we call a call to action. When you create marketing, that's a huge thing. You have to have a call to action. Call to action is a reason for them to reach out back and create the conversation. So if I just send out a postcard with really good information, but I have no call to action, then there's nothing that is motivating them to reach out to me. So maybe I send out to my farm a postcard of, hey, in the last 3 months, 8 homes have come on the market and all have sold within under 30 days, and they've all sold for over 100% of list price. Now, if I just left it at that, why would they pick up the phone to call me? They're just like, well, that's cool. Thanks for sending me a postcard with information. What if I then on the bottom said, to find out what your home is worth in today's hot market, call me. That's my call to action. And then I put my phone number, and it's not, I see agents that put their contact information like little itty bitty, like in a size 8 font, like, please don't call me. Like, dude, half your postcard should be your damn phone number. Call me, please pick up the phone and call me, or go to my website, or download my app, or go to my home valuation site, or come to my open house, or come to my first time home buyer seminar. What's your call to action? That needs to be a big part of your marketing. Why would I pick up the phone and call you? Why would I get in contact with you? Once they do get in contact with you, that's when they become a contact. We're now connecting and offering. It's an interactive and value-based touch program. So we've connected. I'm now in a conversation with you. And in that conversation, we drop down to box 4, and that's where I'm cultivating you. Now that we're in conversation, I'm trying to figure out, I'm nurturing you. I'm trying to qualify you. Are you a serious seller? Are you a serious buyer? So I like to qualify kind of during that conversation, because my goal was there at 5 is to get an appointment. That's the name of the game. When we talk about lead generation, it's getting an appointment. It's getting an opportunity to sit down with Kevin and talk about buying a home. And he knows that's why we're sitting down to talk to each other, is to talk about his buying a home, an appointment, a consultation. Agents get so worried about those appointments. Well, I don't know what to do at a buyer appointment. I don't know what to do at a listing appointment. Here's the good news. Both buyers and sellers, 3 out of 4 of them only interview one agent. So if I can find a seller that's willing to meet with me to talk about listing their home, there's a 75% chance I've already got the listing. The hard part was getting the lead, turning them into a contact, continuing to cultivate them until they were ready, and setting that appointment. Now that I've got the appointment, that's where you should smile. You did the hard part. Now we just get to go show them how we're going to help market their home, help get it under contract, and put a plan in place for them. But so I have that appointment to turn them into either an active buyer or an active listing, where I have a representation agreement or an exclusive right to sell their home. Then we get them under contract, and then we close them out.
Meet them, meet up for the first time, when you last about all that?
Yeah, when it comes to presenting the buyer representation agreement,
Yeah, get a feel and see. if
yeah,
they're
I
gonna-
don't shove it in front of anybody's face. If I met you at an open house and we are just getting to know each other, and the first time we meet outside of that open house, I put an agreement in front of you that says we're going to work together for the next 6 months, that may push you away. So if you're concerned about it and you want to do it the right way and have that representation agreement, maybe I do a representation agreement just for that one day. They wanted to go see 2 homes. We don't know that we want to work together. So I'm going to have a representation agreement that allows me to represent you on just these 2 homes, just dated for today. And if this works well, then we'll put an agreement together and continue working together. I may not want to work with them. And we're going to get all into the qualifying your clients and making sure that we're spending time with the right people. That's definitely going to be a big portion of what we talk about. But basically, it's a never-ending funnel. So I take them from, I go out, I find them, I capture them, and that's what today's going to be about. How do we go find people? Until we've had a conversation, they're just a lead. Once they've become a conversation and we're in communication, they're now a contact. They're in my database. I've got them on a touch campaign, but they're responding. I'm cultivating them. I'm loving on them. I'm nurturing them with the goal of setting an appointment. And from that appointment, we get them into being an active buyer or seller. We get them under contract. We close them, and they go right back into my contacts, where I continue to nurture, love, and treat them right.
Do you have people having problems, after being pre-approved to bring shows in a bunch of places? Some people don't like their credit being run. or-
Yeah. Oh, people are very hesitant about that. I will typically, personal choice, show you one time, not pre-approved.
Okay.
So Ray calls me, wife and I have been getting your home alerts. Really, really want to go see this home out on Deerfield. Awesome, Ray. Have you guys had an opportunity to speak with a lender yet? We haven't, but we got a pretty good idea where we're qualified price-wise. Beautiful. Do you have a lender when we get to that time that you're comfortable with? I got a good relationship with my banker. Awesome. Are you committed to doing a mortgage through them? Well, not necessarily. Beautiful. Why don't I send you the name of 3 really awesome lenders, one of which works in my office, who's a rock star. Be happy to hook you guys up. And in the meantime, I'll get everything set up for the showing this afternoon. I'll go show them the house. During that end of that showing, I'll say, Ray, did you get a chance to reach out to any of those lenders? No, we haven't yet. Beautiful. Well, before we go out and look at another house, one of the things I want to make sure we get done is getting you pre-approved. And the reason really is, Ray, is I just want to make sure that we're not looking at homes that are going to be either below or above your price point. I want to make sure we're looking at the homes that are going to be in your price range and that you're comfortable purchasing. And so I typically will allow them to go out and look one time. Sometimes those clients that don't want to get pre-approved, if I can take them out and show them one house and they really, really like it, then I can get them to get on the damn phone with the lender. And so I kind of use that as a little bit of motivation. That's a personal choice. I know a lot of agents that will not take anyone out that's pre-approved. I know in some of the higher end listings, you won't get in the door without a pre-approval. You get south of 635, real estate works a little bit different. It's not uncommon down there to require a pre-approval. It's not uncommon down there to have the listing agent at the showing. And they even do it on like their $80,000 condos. I'm like, this is just stupid. but it's their choice. I'm, you know, up in the burbs, I'm never at any of my showings. Unless my seller requests, and I've never had that happen. I let the agent go in, show the home, have some freedom. I don't like when the seller's agent's there, you just feel tense. Even worse is when the seller is there. I stress to every one of my sellers that if possible, please don't be at the home. I get it right now in the pandemic, it's a little bit different. Some people aren't able to get out of the home. Some people aren't wanting to leave their homes. So that happens. I've had some elderly clients that it wasn't always possible, but you'll notice, man, when I go show a home and the seller's still there, we're in and out in 3 minutes. The clients just don't feel comfortable. You don't want to feel like you're invading someone's home. And that's one of the reasons why when we stage a home, we depersonalize it. Because the last thing I want people is feeling like a voyeur walking through someone's house, like when you can tell they're still living there. Like you see like the breakfast dishes and like all of a sudden you start to realize, yeah, this is someone's home. Oh man, I kind of feel guilty. Like they were clearly in the middle of eating breakfast and I like kicked them out to go like, so you just get out of there real quick and your clients don't spend the time. So that'll happen.
I had a lady once that was constantly chain smoking the whole time while we were there with the kids. The family that I had, they were showing the house. They were just like,
yeah, you'll run across, some people, the worst is when, and it happens, is I've shown homes that are currently occupied by tenants and the home is being sold and the tenant's not necessarily on board. And I get it. There's no fun. If I was a landlord and I was selling a home with a tenant in it, I need to you've got to figure out a way to make it a win-win. And typically that means financially helping out that tenant, maybe waiving their rent the month or coming up with something to get them to buy in. Otherwise, you end up with a tenant that's kind of pissed and sometimes complete jerks to people when they show. I have come into some weird situations with tenants, and that sucks. But there's no financial incentive for them. They're having a home that they maybe even had a lease for longer that they're now being told they're going to probably have to get out of. They're not happy. So I've come across that a couple of times. Dogs can always be an issue. Hopefully the dog is not there or put up in a crate. And if they're in a crate, they're barking and yapping the whole time. I had a little Chihuahua once at a house. I was showing family with the grandparents, and they're not from America. And so where they grew up, dogs are not pets. Dogs are evil where they grew up. There are countries where, dogs are not considered pets. They're nuisance. And the little Chihuahua got out. And I was kind of laughing. And my 75-year-old lady passed out. I mean, she damn near had a heart attack. We had to get the ambulance there. Like it freaked her out. So you just never know what you're going to experience on a day of real estate. That's why I love this job though. Like you get fun stories that every day is something different. So yeah, that day I did not know that a 2-pound Chihuahua was going to knock over a 75-year-old lady and I need an ambulance out of my showing. Sure enough, that happened. So things happen. So
Do you encourage the buyer's agent to close the loop with you?
To what?
Do you encourage the buyer's agent to close the loop with you with respect to what they saw in the house? Feedback?
Yeah, I definitely like feedback. I try to give it when possible. There are times when I'm, maybe working with an out-of-town buyer on a Saturday and we go show 10 homes because they're literally in town for 24 hours. It's tough at that point to give, I'm beaten by the end of the day. We've seen 10 homes. I may not have a great memory. I will always, so I may not fill out the just automatic one where I will never not give you feedback, or the agents that call. I'll always give those agents feedback. So the agents that pick up the phone and say, hey, Hunter, this is John over at Remax. I know you showed, it was 2 days ago on my listing over at 123 Main Street. I'm like, John, I showed a ton of houses. Give me an idea which one that was. Has that huge orange wall in the front room with the giant picture of the cat. The cat house. Absolutely, man. Let me pull up my notes and I'll give if you take the time to reach out, you'll always get feedback from me when I have time. It's a common courtesy. Don't give feedback like that they can't do anything about. Great feedback stuff like, hey, the home smelled like cigarette smoke. Sometimes,
well, the lady was there. The seller was there.
She should have known it smelled like
And then
cigarette.
the agent didn't, they don't know that.
Yeah.
They could actually say something to them.
Exactly. And that's where I'm trying to leave feedback where, what would you want if you were the listing agent? What might help you get this home stage better? Client really liked the home, but the walls were so dark. client kept remarking how small the home felt. Now, as a listing agent, I've got some ammo to go to my client because there's a good chance I was trying to get my client to paint the home before we marketed it. Now I've gotten 2 different agents that have remarked on the dark walls, make it feel cramped, show my client that, and all of a sudden we're getting the painter out next weekend. Maybe the home smells like pets. Don't know if you guys noticed with pet people, and for all I know, my home smells like a wet dog. I live there. I don't notice it. I've just gotten used to living with 2 big ass, dirty ass black labs. Like, it's what we know. But there's a good chance when you walk in, you'd be like, damn, it smells like a dog. I hope it doesn't. We try to keep it very clean and
Or
spray
even
our.
that with the carpet.
But
I
exactly.
find that where they can clean the carpet.
Yep.
So that you have.
So I try to give
irritation.
something that the seller's agent may be able to use to help improve that listing. Something that could be changed, saying, man, clients hated it because this home's in Garland and they want to live in Plano. Well, A, why did you even show it? And B, like, how are they going to change that? You know, it's not a whole lot of constructive feedback I can do much with there. So like I said, we're going to see this chart a lot. Basically the top, the prospecting and marketing, what we're focusing on today is the lead generation. Then they go in as leads or contacts into my database, and then we move them into the sales pipeline. The really cool thing is we can do all this in the command system that we've been learning. And that all that can be done. I can generate the lead, I can maintain, nurture, and love on them in the database, and then I can move them right into the sales pipeline, all within one system, which is really nice. So today, the focus is on the prospecting and marketing. The way they define it is prospecting is kind of what they define as the free 99 way. Prospecting is the face-to-face, hitting the street, door knocking, hosting an open house, going to networking meetings, basically the things you can do that the cost involved is more time than it is money. Marketing kind of for these purposes is what they define kind of as what you can spend money on, running a Facebook ad, having a farm, and instead of door knocking the pieces, you're actually mailing them out. That is kind of what they consider marketing. So kind of keep that in mind that they're going to mix. So lead generation. Yeah, as they say, marketing is money intensive, it's passive, and it's long-term results. And passive by, you know, like if I set up a farm, I'm just sending out postcards. I'm not getting face-to-face. If I'm running a Facebook ad, I'm not actually getting in front of you. I'm just paying to kind of drip on you. Over time will get me long-term results. Prospecting is going to typically be time intensive. It's more proactive. It is getting face-to-face, and I'm searching for typically more immediate results. You know, an open house is prospecting because I'm looking for buyers today. A farm typically is going to take me a while. Now, if I'm door knocking it, I'm getting a little bit more proactive, so I'm kind of combining it. But stuff like a farm may take me a while to build. Internet leads can be instantaneous, but also can provide long-term. So some of them will be a little bit of both. There's a chance that on my internet leads, I get a buyer that wants to go look at a home today. Statistically speaking, though, an internet lead is 12 to 18 months away. That's where they just started their search. Now there's ways to kind of find internet leads that are farther out and internet leads that are closer in, but in general, that's kind of where they're getting their search started. But at the same time, I've had more than one that literally the day they sign up on my website, we're like, hey, we want to go see this home. At the same time, I've had people that signed up on my website in 2014 that popped in 2018. 4 years later, all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're ready to see a home. Crazy thing is they won't respond to you for like the whole 4 years. And then all of a sudden you'll get like a text message. Hey, can we see this house at 3 p.m. today? Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Hunter. I've sent you 197 different emails, called you 432 times. Like, cool, I'd love to show you the home. Like, what changed? But it just happens. But here's the funny thing. You feel like they've never communicated with you. Some of those people feel like they've been communicating with you. They just forgot to reply to you. But you've been talking to them and they've assumed for the last, you never knew it. This random stranger for the last 4 years has considered you his real estate agent. They just forgot to tell you. You're like, well, thank you. It's awesome. I just, you could have told me 4 years ago. But whatever, works just as well today. One of the nice tricks we like to do is if I have those clients that I see them checking their searches every day, but they don't ever respond to me, is I'll send a dummy email that looks just like it, and I'll forget to attach the home. Boy, I've gotten some responses for that. Hey man, this is Ray. You've been sending me emails for like the last 3 years with homes. I just want to let you know the one you sent today didn't have any homes in it. The link wasn't working. Oh my gosh, so sorry about that, Ray. But anyways, now that I got a chance to catch up, man, really just wanted to say hi. Wow. How's the home search going? All of a sudden, the second I screw up, they're willing to give me a call and let me know I screwed up. Homie, I didn't screw up. You fell for my trap.
Yeah.
That's that entrepreneurial to purposeful. Sometimes some of the things I told you guys, the story of like if you've got 2 tickets to the Rangers game, instead of calling your buddy that you know is going to go to the game, let's call our buddies that have kids that live an hour away. My agent that plays golf, one little thing she does, put your golf bag in her car every night, then she puts a big ass heavy sold sign on top of it. Because what does she have to do when she gets to the country club? Pull that big ass heavy sold sign out, put it next to her car so that she can then pull her golf bag out. What happens? She's a cute little lady, is some guy at the country club, and every time runs over. Oh my gosh, let me help you get that. Oh, I didn't even know you were in real estate. Oh yeah, just sold this house, had to pull it out of the yard this morning before I could come play golf. Like they think it's accidental. Heck no, man, that's purposeful as can be. Guess what? Not only does it show that she's in real estate, but it's a sold sign that I'm pulling out of a yard. Makes it look like I'm pretty damn good at what I do. So sometimes it may look like a mistake, but it may not be.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Is there really any advantage of leaving your card at a house after you review it?
So
Because
I got in the habit, so it is not something that's very common here. The West Coast, it is required. Like in the state of Washington, you're required to do it. I like doing it as a good habit. It's not that I'm marketing towards your sellers, it's letting you know that I've been there. So that when the seller comes home, they know that, hey, because we've had a problem with agents that will schedule
Yeah.
showings, they no call, they no show.
I've bought, every time I've sold houses,
Uh-huh.
or I sold my own house. Yeah, certain, in Texas, well, mostly in Parker Heights, Texas, clean area. Some left their cards,
Uh-huh.
but some didn't.
It's not that they're trying to market. What they're doing is they're letting you know, hey, I've been here and now we're gone. It's kind of a way so that when you get home, you can see that, hey, I came in, I viewed your home, and we're done with our showing. In Texas, not as popular, like I said, so you may have agents from the West Coast, clients from the West Coast. That's something they're used to out there. That was a change for me because I'd never done that. Then I got in the habit of doing it, so now I kind of do it here, kind of as a courtesy. So I can see it going both ways.
So even if you preview a house, would you still do it?
Yeah, just let them know, hey, I came. I didn't just set the appointment, make sure I showed up. So that's kind of the purpose behind it. So I'm going to pull up a video, and then we are going to take a break, and then we are going to really dive into different ways of lead generating.
Lead generation is the first thing you should do, make those calls.
I took what I already knew and how I would go and shop for a house and just applied it to them.
It's a numbers game, if you can track how many people you're calling in a day and how many hours you're doing this, there's a formula.
Make those calls.
I used those things that I did innately to attract.
She's at our
I
office.
became a hyper-local expert in the military because I am a military spouse. The 2 key things that I did to generate the most success for me were social media and open houses, because I didn't have the database like everybody else did. So I had to find ways that I could get in front of people fast, and also something that would be maybe have the buyer or seller would be ready and willing to buy now versus later. And I'm lead generating specifically in an area that is military friendly, military heavy. It really is in the follow-up. Be present in their lives, build a relationship. Don't just ask for business every single time you see them. Be present in their lives, build a relationship. The least effective marketing activities for me were cold calling. And that's just because my niche market, they're not going to be already local. They're going to be moving from other bases. Then I decided, well, if I'm going to leverage cold calling,
let's do it more purposeful, and let's do it only in my niche market where I know that there's military there. They're likely to buy or sell in 3 to 4 years. Mindset was a huge part of my success. One of the things I tell myself for an open house is 1 good lead every time. And so I start that action at least a week beforehand. I do a social media campaign. I follow up with all the likes and comments. And then I do a door knock around the open house. And then I follow up with anybody who is active at the open house. And usually that results in at least 1 buyer or seller leads, usually more.
So my first year, obviously, you know, the minute I made the change, it's super scary. I've got a network of people still reaching out to me to, you know, help them with what I was doing before, which was post-production. And I knew that my job at the beginning of the year, starting out, was changing people's mind from thinking, if they met somebody who needed a commercial made, they thought of me. I knew my job was to change all the people who knew and trusted me when they heard somebody who needed to buy a house or sell their house, once they thought of me. You know, if you're starting out and you don't have that network, be really intentional about where you spend your time. You go get gas, you meet somebody who needs to buy a house, just think that way, and you'll attract that to yourself. I think everybody likes to talk about real estate. Your job is for people to know that you are in real estate and that they will bring it up. Open houses are by far just the best thing you should do out of the gate every weekend, each day. Starting out, I did door knocking, I did mailing, and didn't get a great return, but I wouldn't change that. If I was starting out again, I would door knock. It's just talking to people, getting rejected. You know, it's a great experience no matter what. I'll also say that the most important thing is that your lead generation strategy is coming from a place of authenticity. You're not going to get every client in the city, but there are people out there that are going to resonate with who you are, and just figure out a way to bring value. The income is secondary. That's how I go about it, and I think that really resonates with obviously my set of people that I take care of.
My lead generation strategies in the beginning were a challenge. I actually always believed when I first started that lead generation was cold calling and door knocking. So I kind of stayed away from that. I was fearful, I was anxious, but over the course of the business, the things that were innate to me, networking, open houses, facilitation classes, it allowed me the opportunity to connect, and I start to see that as opportunities for lead gen. And it was far more effective for me because it was natural. Let me just go back. When I became a new agent, from the time that I was in Ignite and graduated from Ignite in October.
She was a rookie a year at this market center, probably 4 years ago.
And during that period of time, I noticed a developmental gap. And I say this to say, I was spurred to partner and collaborate with some other agents and create master classes, as well as Launch and Learns monthly to share, mindset, motivational speaking. And through this, I was able to build a community, or I was able to build a group and a network, brought it in myself that basically helped others in home buying and also with other agents to help build their skill sets. It has put me and set me apart from other agents. Lead gen pitfalls that I've seen agents do are just being cookie cutter. Looking at a successful agent or looking at someone else and doing exactly what they do doesn't necessarily work for everyone. Scripts gave me more confidence to be able to know what to say when I was talking to certain clients. Also, there's different approaches to different questions that may be asked. So instead of looking at scripts as, oh, I have to memorize this verbatim, it was a resource to gain knowledge and definitely helped me to build confidence, even though I was not planning on using it verbatim. I've always said my purpose is to empower and to elevate others to a level of excellence. And when I meet with my clients, I want to make sure that they have enough information and they feel empowered to make the decision. How can I do that? How can I help you to make you feel that once we've made this connection, you are elevated?
With my time blocking, for the first 2 hours of every day, I would do lead generation. Sometimes it would be 4 hours if I wasn't getting the productivity that week that I wanted. And then I followed up with, my just lots of very successful habits.
I think that a lot of new agents want to try all types of features. You're not really only need talent in one or two different generations. There's all kinds of different models, but they are not made for everybody. The best inspiration model for me was my sphere. I call my sphere every day. The number 2 ways that I got business in lead generations is open house. I found for me the best way to connect to be in front of people I already knew, that I had built a relationship with. Rather than that, at open house and had time to actually connect. The script that the night program provided for me really worked because they helped me get out of my comfort zone. When I was having to call everybody up and let them know that I had transitioned jobs, what I was doing, and it gave me the dialogue path. On our team, we have picked 6 nonprofits locally that we like. And we do an event with the local nonprofits every year, and we meet lots of new people that way. We invite all of our former clients, we invite our vendors, and then we invite the neighborhood, because we're on before the event around the park. And then we also have client appreciation. We try to do that quarterly. We'll do a client appreciation event where we invite everybody out to a restaurant and then we provide appetizers. Just have fun. It's not necessarily a salesy event, it's just about having fun. So being out in the community, they see that we are knowledgeable about what we're doing, but we're also giving back. We care about what we consider.
My first year as a realtor, I tried just about everything in terms of prospecting and lead generation. What I found for me was that I present best when I'm face-to-face with somebody. So I really focus on open houses and then networking and getting out for coffee, making myself visible in the community, and then always making sure that I was able to speak to what was happening in the market at any time. So keeping up to date with local news and projects in and around town, I found to be very helpful when talking with people. To set myself apart from many other agents out there, I've been utilizing video. And I find that putting the videos out on Facebook and a YouTube channel, and then even emailing them to clients really allows people to feel like they get to know you. And I've had experiences where I've talked to people on the phone, and they were, especially with out-of-town investor clients, and they were not necessarily ready to go with me until I sent them a video saying hello, outlining how I could help them. It was good to have the phone call with them, etc. And the feedback I've gotten on the videos has been very, very strong. The biggest pitfalls I saw other agents having, and even telling to myself with lead generation, was not having consistent follow-up. So if I had an open house and I got the names, the numbers of contacts, and told them I'd be in touch with them, sometimes I would get overwhelmed and I wouldn't touch base with them in a timely manner, or to follow up on calls if somebody didn't show some interest. Making sure that you stay on top of things and follow up with your contacts is very important. Scripts are great for understanding what objections you might encounter and how to overcome those objections. What I discovered was I would learn what the foundation of the script was. What was it trying to get me to say? And then I would be able to, just by knowing that and having read it over and over and over, when I would have an objection come up, I was able to utilize those scripts, the content of the script in my own words.
Rock and roll. So we're about to head out on a break. And let me hear a couple of ahas. Let me hear one from in here, but I'm also going to want one from online. Who's got an aha? What'd you hear? Just like in school when the teacher would hit play, that was time to just kind of tone out for the next 5 minutes. Nothing?
I'll say something.
There you go.
Can you hear us?
How about online? Did you guys get any ahas off that video?
Can you hear us?
Nothing?
Hello?
Nobody? Or we just all kind of feeling a little shy this morning?
I like the auto where you can send out MLS listings and it can automatically do it. So you can set it and it sends it
I see you're
out.
talking. I cannot hear.
Oh, sorry.
I see you talking, Lori. So obviously you guys are sharing. I'm a jerk. Somehow my speakers, since they're going through the TV, we can't hear you. I am sorry. So you guys have been probably talking this whole time and we aren't hearing you. while we're on a break, I'm gonna figure out what's going on there so that I can see if we can't get some sound on. I am sorry about that. I thought you guys were all just being super quiet today. My apologies. So since we're in a different room, it's working a little bit differently. So what we will do is we'll take a break now. It's 10:37. Let's get going back at 10:52. That gives us 15 minutes. And then what we're going to do when we get back is we're just going to talk about a lot of the different lead generation methods that she talked about. But I saw one agent talk about it and she nailed it. It's not that we see agents don't do anything in this business. It's that we see them try to do a little bit of everything. And that's where it gets a little dangerous. It's not committing. And it's not to say we don't want you to sample and try a little of this, try a little of that. But we pretty quickly want to hone in on the 3, 4, maybe 5 methods of lead generation that we want to focus, you yourself want to focus on. So what I see happen is an agent decides I'm going to do open houses, and they do them for one weekend, and they don't get a buyer. So, well, open houses don't work. I'm going to do farming, and they send out one postcard, and they don't immediately get a listing. So like farming doesn't work. I'm going to call for sale by owners, and they call for sale by owners for 5 days, and they don't get a lead right away. And for sale by owners doesn't work. And then they try to like call their database. They call 3 people. They don't immediately get a buy. Well, my database didn't work anything. So it's, we want to try a little bit of everything, but at the same time, at some point we got to get pot committed and really give it full effort so that we give it a chance to produce the results we want. So when we get back, we're going to go over a huge list of different ways to do it all and kind of mastermind into a few of them. So I will see you guys back here, and let's make it 10:55 since it's 10:40 now. And we're going to figure out if we can't figure out how to get you guys on sound-wise. Sorry about that. I'm like, I see their mouths moving, but I am definitely not hearing anything.
The bathrooms out here.
We like to just make this as confusing a place.
keep seeing about that, the millions. The water coming like that. I never have catch, even like very bottom.
I heard that on the news. What, it's crazy out there.
Yeah, it's seeing, it's 6:15, no?
Yeah.
No, I think, I'm like, it's like doing 7-Eleven, but then I'm like, yeah, I don't want to stop it,
It's a lot of work. I don't know, but for that much money, it's worth it if you win.
know.
Every time I hear something like the lottery, I'm like, I could probably win that. And I just got
They
play
might even make
it.
it, I know it's probably something federal, whatever, but make it possible for you to do it. Spend money. Have a pay.
Yeah, they would get a lot more.
Do that as the app.
Yeah, just the website. Good idea.
And have a cap on it, I guess, so people don't spend all the money.
Yeah.
Need some napkins?
I've noticed since I got older, I get messier. My wife thinks it's hilarious when I get stuff in my for 27 years, I didn't have any hair. I was like, I got to cut it all off. And then it took me 2 years to grow hair back because it would go straight
Yeah.
up. I had a flat top for 27 years.
I had a flat top for 22.
Yeah. So it's, my life was hilarious. I couldn't, I
I
heard
couldn't grow a flat top, say myself. There's nothing there. Got a racetrack now.
I forgot my question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know, I got an email from Christina about new agent orientation for tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
I've never gone through that,
Okay.
so it's also overlapping a little bit, like 30 minutes of it.
Which, let me,
11:30 to something.
okay, if that is the case, then tomorrow we will end at 11:30. Let me, yeah, so
It's
that
not-
new agent starts at 11:30, so we will end tomorrow at about 11:15, give you a little break. And get everybody over to,
we'll already begin there.
Yep.
So it's,
so we'll give you a little break in between the two.
Okay. Yeah, because we're in the same room.
Yep, and tomorrow we're gonna be back in the training room. Today, the only reason we're out here is, so today is the ALC committee meetings. So if you guys aren't familiar, so that at every Keller Williams, there's an agent leadership council. It's made up of agents in the top 20% in terms of production from the previous year. They're all invited to go to an ALC retreat, and then the team leader kind of makes the final selection. The ALC is in charge of really the day-to-day operations of the market center. They meet kind of theoretically how our Congress is supposed to meet, and has committees, and those committees make decisions, and then they come together as a full body at the ALC, kind of like the Senate subcommittees now come together to the Senate, and if it all runs smoothly, they then bring items up and they get voted on. That's not how it really typically works in Congress, but it is kind of how it works here. So like, for example, the technology committee, last year at the end of the year, they voted to the camera in the training room. If you noticed, it's like up in that corner. So I believe they've either installed it yesterday or today. We're getting 2 new cameras. One that will be front facing, one that will face the room. We're getting some new equipment in there. That was voted on by the tech committee. They then bring it to the full ALC and they vote on it as an ALC. Now, where you can get involved is by joining those committees, being part of those committee meetings that are going on. So obviously there's a few this morning, but there's some this afternoon. So this morning we've had culture. Culture really talks about kind of the culture of the office, kind of different ways to grow. We have a vendor committee meeting where they talk about the different vendors that we bring in for our vendor program and vet those vendors. So if you're interested in that, the social equity committee meets at 11. So obviously this month you won't be able to make it. It's moving forward. It's become a big push. Obviously, unfortunately, it was a reaction to what happened at the beginning of the summer. It should have been something that was done a long time ago. But I'm glad to see that it became an issue and got brought up to the forefront, and it's something that we just need to be cognizant of. We run across that a lot in real estate. There's a lot of opportunities for discrimination. We watched I think it was like an ABC 2020 special where they would have different agents across the country. They would meet with different clients of different backgrounds, the same agent. And it was eye-opening to see how some of those agents treated certain clients and how they then treated other clients. How they would maybe go show a home to a supposedly upper class looking white individual, and that was not pre-approved, and an approved African-American buyer would come in and they wouldn't show them the same house. And it was just, man, it was heartbreaking, but in 12 years, I can promise you, I know it exists. And so that's something that committee is tackling. That issue probably is not going to get solved in an ALC committee in Keller Williams. That is a national and international issue, but we need to be doing our part. So this afternoon, if you're interested, we have at 12 o'clock, the social committee. That's for those of you who like to party and have a little bit of fun. They plan our parties. So family reunion is coming up. Unfortunately, this year it's going to be virtual, as opposed to like heading to Vegas for 5 days. So we're going to try to make it something fun here at the Market Center. So Adele and the social committee will plan that. At 1 o'clock, growth committee. Growth committee is all about growing the Market Center, bringing in new agents, bringing in experienced agents. For those of you who profit share is something you really want to get involved in, that's an opportunity. That's really what they focus on in the growth committee. Profit share is when, say, Ray does a deal with another agent over at an Ebby office and kind of realizes that agent's not writing great contracts, seems to have a lot of questions on stuff. Maybe all you do is you just invite them to a class. Say, hey, we got a really great contracts class. We'd love you to come hang out. They come over here, they see this Market Center and they go, oh my God, this is amazing. I'd love to be a part of this. We set them up with a meeting with Sarah. They meet with Sarah and they decide they'd like to join the Market Center. And just like when you joined, you were asked to name a sponsor, that agent would be asked to name a sponsor. As that agent closes deals, a portion of the money they pay back to Keller Williams will go to Ray since he is their sponsor. A smaller portion of that money will go to your sponsor. Basically, out of every $100 that Keller Williams gets, when you pay back company dollar, 50 of it goes to the ownership who took the risk in investing in this Market Center, and $50 of it goes back to the agents through the profit share system. So it is an absolutely awesome way to receive residual income. Can be inherited, and you're vested. I want to say now it's after like 7 years that it no longer can be taken away from you unless I believe you move to a competitor. So there's certain new rules about kind of the vesting process. Profit share is a great opportunity. It shows up in your bank on the 21st of every month without you having to do anything. Each capper you add to your profit share can be worth up to about $2,500. So, you know, it's these days, I probably consistently get anywhere from $500 to $2,000 a month. I know agents that get 5 figures a month. I know a few agents that get 6 figures a month. So there's really good opportunity, especially with a country that's growing and now we're in 33 countries. Say you travel overseas. One of our agents, she was traveling over in South Africa. She got a phone book, reached out to 10 different real estate brokers there, went and grabbed coffee with them. 2 of them decided they really liked the idea of Keller Williams and they brought Keller Williams to South Africa. She sponsored the 2 main directors of the South African region. Basically, everybody that joins in South Africa is going to fall underneath their downline. So she has them at a certain level. That's going to probably pay for her retirement. So the opportunity is absolutely there. And Gary will tell you, he doesn't believe that the biggest profit share earner in our company has even joined the company yet. That the opportunity is that great. So there is opportunity. So even though it's been going on for a while, and there's some agents that have, I think there's well over 100 agents that have made $1 million. I think this year alone we'll have, 50 agents that will make $1 million in just the year in residual income. So really cool opportunity there. 2 o'clock, you can join Mr. Jake, and I will be in there in the education committee. So if you want to have a say in what goes on the calendar, what classes we're teaching, we'd love to have your voice in there. And then at 3 o'clock, the wellness committee with Robert Irving, talking about kind of, you know, outside of, you know, having good mental health, so is physical health. This is a job where if you get sick or injured, there's typically not much we can do to help. It's your job is working with clients. And if you're no longer able to work with clients, then this becomes a really difficult job to do. So maintaining proper mental health and proper physical health. So they put together activities like, I know we've done softball teams in the past. We've had like yoga classes going on at the Market Center. So if you're interested in that, join them at 3 o'clock. So that's ALC. So let me pop over. Yes, ma'am. So if you go to centralkw.com, we'll get you into the calendar. Cool. So let's dive into lead generation.
Who's the owner of the calendar?
Kevin at the front desk. Ultimately, the whole leadership team, but I think he puts it together. Cool. So those of you who have your handouts in front of you, feel free to go to page 6. Those of you at home, I've got page 6 put up. That's kind of what we're going to dive into for the last hour. So, fortunately, I am unable to get the sound fixed for those of you on the computer. I now have my phone in front of me. So if you've got questions or anything, it may be easier to just text me those of you who have my phone number, I'm going to put it in the chat real quick because it's a little tougher for me to check the chat as we're going. But I will keep my phone in front of me, even though it's on silent, and feel free to text in if you have a question. So why is lead generation important? What do you guys think?
Everything. The business.
Exactly.
There is no business.
It sounds like I'm starting to drill it through your skulls. Good deal. But it is. It's the lifeline of our business. Without leads, nothing else matters. If I'm not going to do the lead generation, then
Why do it?
yeah, then there's really no point in being here for the rest of the next 3 weeks. We're going to teach you the skills, but if we don't have anybody to go write offers for, if we don't have anybody to negotiate deals for, then I really don't need to know that stuff. This is it. Do this well. We'll help you with everything else. That I can assure you. And the goal of lead generation is it's to drive my business. It's to produce, we sit down and one of the things is I'm going to start reaching out to you guys to set up one-on-one meetings where we sit down and start working on your individual business plans. And the first thing we do is we work on your goal. What is it we want to accomplish? Whether that's financial or what you want your life to look like. And then we build a lead generation plan around it. I see so many agents build it backwards. They build their lead generation plan and then they come up with their goal. Well, let's come up with the goal and then let's figure out, do we have enough in our lead generation plan? If my goal is you've got a pretty big goal, say you want to make $250,000 this year and your lead generation plan is I'm going to do 1 open house a month and I'm going to call the 25 people in my database. We got 2 options. We can either adjust your goal, and that's not the route I'd prefer to go, or we can adjust that lead generation plan. Because 1 open house a month in a database of 25 people, you will not net $250,000. It's just a fact. And so we want to make sure that we know the goal and that we're committed to the goal. And that's why we spent yesterday talking about that big why and why we get up. What are we doing this for? And having a big why so that then we can put a goal in place that matches that big why and get you 1 step closer. Then we put the plan in place. And so that we've got the right amount of actions in there. And that's something we in coaching help. So we're going to talk today about a lot of different forms of lead generation. But say you come to me and we have a sheet where we literally kind of write the goal and then we write out the levers of lead generation. In other words, out of all these items on page 6, these different ways of prospecting and marketing, which ones are you going to choose? And then we help you create the plan. For so long, we were telling agents, figure it out. You come up with what forms of lead generation you want, and then also we want you to figure out the plan. Well, the problem was you're brand new. If I want to make $200,000, I don't know how many open houses I need to do. Myself and the rest of our coaches have sat down and kind of come up with those plans to get you to that level that you're wanting to go to. So what do you guys think lead generation looks like for successful agents? What do you think I'm giving away the answer. What do you think successful agents do that the unsuccessful ones don't do? But how do they do it?
Persistence.
That's it. It's the consistency. The top agents do it consistently. The average agent does it meh, and the bad agents don't ever do it. The top agents do it every single day. When we're back here with teams, Veronica Warwick, top agent, the Amy Downs team, top agent, Brian Davis across the hallway, top team. You will come in every day and you will see their teams at work. They're lead generating. Brian Davis is on the phone every morning before he goes out for his appointments. I used to office right next to him, and his admin would literally every night she would prepare the folder for who he needed to call. It was a big old folder with skulls and crossbones. It wasn't his favorite thing to do, but he knows that was the lifeline of his business, was to be in contact with his leads. And so every morning he gets on the phone. He's not at the office as often, but I know he still lead generates daily. But when he's here, he's normally pacing. Brian's a pacer. So if you see a random guy just walking the hallways talking to himself, it's normally Brian on his Bluetooth, but he's lead generating every day. The good agents do it daily. That's why we recommend, when it comes to time blocking out your calendar, setting it up to do it in the morning. There's less stuff to distract you and get in your way. And so there's a better chance you're going to be consistent with it. We've talked about the 66 days it takes to form a habit. Boy, if there was any habit I wanted to form in real estate, it would be let's form that habit, getting up every day and lead generating in some form or fashion. 5 days a week. Top agents might do it 7 days a week. You know, it depends on your goals, and that's where when we look at those goals, sometimes we gotta go big, because we got big goals. You know, we just had a group graduating night, and some of them were disappointed they weren't getting the results they were getting. And like I told them, that if you've been doing 1 open house a week and you're not getting the results you want, maybe we got to do 2. I know agents do 5 a week. And you're like, well, there's only 2 weekend days. I had an agent up in Seattle. I coached her. She did 4 a weekend. She did 1 to 3. No, she did noon to 2, had an hour to get to her next one, and then did 3 to 5, both days, 4 different homes. And then she would also host minimum of 1 during the week. She had big goals. So she didn't just say, well, I'm only going to do 1 each day on the weekend because that's what most agents do. No, she went above and beyond. She hit those goals. So it's, you know, that consistency of the lead generation. That's the name of the game. You do it consistently, the results will show up. And so the last question it asked is, how do you prefer to work with people? And how do you think that affects your lead generation efforts? What do you guys think? To me, what that question's asking is wanting to get you to start thinking, what do you, when you interact with people, when you work with salespeople, what do you want that interaction to look like? That's the thing. We get to determine how you lead generate. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'll throw some suggestions out there. If you say I have no clue, I'll throw some stuff out there for you. But I don't know how you are as a human being. We're just getting to know each other. I don't know what your natural style is, what you're comfortable with, how you like to interact with people. Tell you, I have agents, I couldn't pay them to get on the phone and call their best friends. They just steadfastly will not do it, but they'll call for sale by owners or internet leads. They have no problem with that. On just the other side, I've got agents that they wouldn't call a stranger to save their lives, but they'll call their friends. I got a third group that won't call either one. They're just not comfortable on the phone. It's okay. Phones are a really cheap and quick and effective way to get those contacts in. But hey, if phone's not your thing, and there's networking, there's going out and door knocking. There's so many different ways to go out and meet people. And so that's when I start talking about these, is I want you to start envisioning which of these makes you go, oh, that's something I like. Ooh, I think I could do that. Or you know what, that is, it's not me. If you know right away, that ain't me, then let's make sure that we're not, that we are not picking that as our lead generation source. Don't torture yourself. You know, oh, I want to get better at the things I'm not good at. Cool. Don't do that with your career. Like, work on self-improvement outside of the business world. I get it. We all want to work on it. I want to be a better version of myself. However, I was fortunate enough that I was given a certain set of skills by our creator. No matter who you believe was our creator, that deity or the world gave me the certain skills, gave me the gift to gab. So I found a job that allows me to just talk for a living. Pretty kind of cool. I enjoyed a heck lot more than when I was on jobs where I wasn't getting to talk all day. But finding the things that you have skills, we all have natural abilities. Let's figure out which lead generation methods are going to work best with your natural abilities. And then we take it from your natural abilities where it's entrepreneurial, then we put the plan in place, we put even more training behind it, and we take it to purposeful. We take your gift to gab and we turn it into a real skill for you. We take your gift of numbers and turn it into a real skill. We take your gift of communicating with people and we turn it into a skill. So that's the goal, is let's focus where we can find success. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So we got 45 minutes left. We'll probably get through most of this prospecting list, and then we'll kind of go over the marketing first thing tomorrow morning. So phone or face-to-face prospecting ways. So number 1, for sale by owners, fastest source of business opportunity. FSBOs, it's kind of what we call them. So for sale by owners are sellers that want to sell their house. They just think they can do it on their own. And they're not necessarily wrong. This market's hot. And for sale by owners are finding success. However, we know a majority of for sale by owners will still decide to list their home. Typically, over 90% of them will end up listing their home. On average, it takes about 8 weeks. I think in this market, that timeline has been shortened a little bit. I think typically after about a month, if a for sale by owner is not under contract, they really start thinking about getting a professional agent to list their home. For sale by owner is 66% of all residential lawsuits involving a residential sales transaction involve a for sale by owner. There are, outside of the sales price in the Texas 1-to-4 contract, there are over 20 other negotiable items inside of a contract. Most for sale by owners seem to be under the impression that we basically, you and I agree on a price. We high five and we'll see each other in 30 days. You give me the keys, I'll give you the cash. Once you start to learn about this industry and the transaction process, you'll quickly realize there is a lot more to a real estate transaction than just agreeing on a price and picking a date for the closing. There is, all the marketing that goes into bringing in the buyer. Once we have a buyer, it's negotiating the terms of that offer. It's really understanding how each one of those terms will affect that deal. I helped my girlfriend purchase a for sale by owner house about 4 years ago. And we advised, I think 5 different times that the seller needed to get an agent. He refused to, told us he knew what he was doing. Well, the contract was for the price he wanted. However, every other term was heavily favoring my buyer. We got $10,000 of closing costs in a seller's market. I pointed it out to him 4 times. You need to look in paragraph 12B, seller concessions. We have $10,000. I want you to initial it. I made him initial it, even though it wasn't a change to the contract. I wanted him to initial it. He initialed it, and then when he went to closing, he lost his freaking mind because he was giving us $10,000 towards her closing costs. He covered 100% of her. She didn't have to put a penny out to close on that house. He had covered it. So while he got the price he wanted, did he really get the price he wanted? No, he got the price he wanted minus $10,000. Plus he paid for the title policy. Plus he bought us a $700 home warranty. Oh yeah, we got the platinum level home warranty on this deal. What's that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what he was, yeah.
I made him initial it.
Yeah.
And explained it to him, and he still didn't listen to me. Yeah, it's in the document, but if you're not paying attention, I see agents kind of miss that one every now and then. It's kind of hidden in paragraph 12, kind of in the middle of it's in the top of the page, but it's in the middle of the paragraph, little blank spot. And if you're not paying attention, you think you get a full price offer and you get excited and you rush it to your seller and they sign it. And then you show up on closing day and there's a little minus 10,000 there in your column. And you're like, the hell did that come from? Well, it came from because you agreed to it in a legally binding contract. The closing was a very tense one, but we had done everything above board. I even had the emails I had sent him suggesting he needed representation. And it is my opinion, you do not understand the contracts and the ramifications of the terms. I strongly advise you to seek representation. Now I know what I'm doing. I've sold houses before. I don't know where you sold them, but it wasn't in Texas. So for sale by owners is a great source of buyers or sellers that already have their hand raised. They're open and admitting we want to sell our house. Right now in a market where listings is the name of the game, that's a great opportunity. And some of we had an agent on at Bold, which is an 8-week course we do just back in October. She was in her 2nd year. She's 25 years old, just graduated college in Missouri, moved to Nashville, didn't know anybody, didn't have a big database. So for sale by owners was her source of business. She will do 100 transactions this year, 85 of which are for sale by owners. There's absolute opportunity there. For sale by owners is not for everyone. Those of you who do decide to call them, you got to understand, and really when we get to number 2, those for sale by owners are getting hit up by a lot of agents. We haven't discovered a secret that a lot of agents know about for sale by owners. Well, I'll tell you, here's the thing. We know it takes an average of about 8 weeks. Let's say it even takes only 4 weeks for them to decide to list. Well, week 1, they'll have 25, 30 agents reach out. Week 2, maybe 10 of them are still in contact. Bless you. Week 3, and you might be down to 3 or 4 agents. By week 4, there's maybe 1 or 2 of you still in contact with them. The follow-up is where a lot of us don't put our efforts in, and follow-up is It's not different from, it is part of your lead generation, is the follow-up, and the money is in the follow-up. Very rarely do I call somebody and the first time I call them, they're ready to rock and roll. It typically is gonna take multiple conversations, and so those agents that stay in touch with the for sale by owner, those are the ones that get those transactions. To me, and when, if you decide for sale by owner is the thing for you, is we wanna teach you an approach where you're coming from contribution. So many of these agents call these folks and say, you can't. You don't know what you're doing. You can't sell it by yourself. Well, no, this market's insanely high. You put a sign in the yard, there's a good chance you're going to sell it. But are you going to sell it for the terms you actually wanted to? Are you going to be leaving money on the table? Are you going to be running the risk of running into litigation because you didn't do it the right way? That's where we come in, is I'm not only going to help you, I can possibly net you more money. Sometimes, not that I can net you more money, sometimes I can get your home sold because you overpriced the damn thing. That's all these agents, they call and they say, oh, I could net you more money. That's not always the case. Most of the time, it's probably the opposite. By the time I give you the price, you're not netting what you think you were, but I'm giving you an actual price that the home may sell at. What you've got it listed at is, I don't know what. One of the questions I always ask, well, where did you come up with your price? Well, either my uncle helped me or my neighbor sold his house. A lot of neighbors lie. Neighbors don't like to say I gave my house away. They tell the next door neighbor, we sold it for $650. No, they didn't. They sold it for $525. That's not uncommon. Zillow, I looked at the Zestimate. Well, Zillow will tell you their own Zestimates are plus minus 20%. So on a $300,000 estimated house, what Zillow is really saying is we think this home is somewhere between 240 and 360. Well, if you went into a listing presentation with a seller and you told them, I think your home's worth somewhere between 240 and 360, you're not getting that listing. That's not very helpful. That's a $120,000 range right there. I'll have to do a little bit better than that, Chief. The head of Zillow at the time, Spencer Rakoff, had to sell his home with a Keller Williams agent. Tried it for sale by owner and it didn't work because he had it so poorly priced. And he owned freaking Zillow. But yet, a lot of for sale by owners, that's where they come from. So number 2 there is expired listings. Yep. Yeah.
I wrote down to ask you. Do they have that
So there are multiple companies for both 1 and 2. We do not have an office account, but there are number 1 and number 2 expired listings. Both are data. So you can do for sale by owners and you can go out and you can drive around and find them. You can go to forsalebyowners.com. You can go to Zillow.com and find for sale by owners. Or you can pay a company such as RedX, My Plus Leads, Vulcan 7, Mojo. All of those companies will sell you the data.
You can be an individual.
Yep, I think we've got a few agents that are doing expired and for sale by owners. They're paying anywhere from about $40 to $60 per month. And every day in their email, they will get a list of all the new for sale by owners with names, email addresses if they're available, phone numbers if they're available. The best of those services, the information is probably 40% accurate at best.
But you get to reach for the farm too, right?
Yep. Yep. One of the things we give you in coaching is we'll give you access to that. We do have the Kohl's Real Estate Directory. But so for sale by owners and expireds, you can buy that data. And so that every morning I come in and I have a list of all the for sale by owners or all of the expireds. So expireds is number 2 there. What expireds are is, let's say Ray listed a house and you list a home and Ray lists it and he's got a 6-month listing agreement and that agreement ended on 1/11/2021. So in other words, last night at midnight, your listing expired. You no longer have the exclusive right to sell the home and it is no longer on the MLS. It is now on the MLS as an expired listing. Your agreement has ended. At that point, we are able to lead generate and market ourselves towards those sellers. We cannot, while he has the listing, I cannot call them and try to market and sell my services. That is what we call crossing the sign. It is one of the quickest ways to get yourself in trouble. You can lose your license, you can be fined for it. So be very careful ever marketing yourself towards somebody that's already under a buyer or seller's agreement with another agent. So tread carefully. If you're not sure, assume that they are. Better to be safe than sorry. A lot of things in life, I feel like it's cool to ask for forgiveness, not permission. This might not be one of those. And so when the home's expired, then kind of like a for sale by owner, boy, the floodgates are open. We had a listing that we canceled, which is another version of an expired. It's instead of waiting till the end of the term of the listing agreement, the seller or the listing agent decides to mutually cancel the listing and take it off the market. And so it's no longer on the MLS. It kind of like an expired. We just ended it earlier. This particular client had some health stuff go on, and so we had to cancel the listing. They were no longer wanting to move, so we canceled the listing. I got a call from the grown daughter that was living at home, one of my good friends, at 9:30 the morning we canceled it. She had talked to over 35 agents. From first call came in at 7:01. I know agents that will make that phone call at 7 o'clock. That is not my style. The agents that do it get business. You know, the pushback, the objection you'll get on stuff like that is, oh my gosh, you're such an aggressive agent. The objection handler I like to give if I'm ever told I'm an aggressive agent, oh, well, if you'd like, I can find a lazy agent to work with you. I've never met a person that said, oh, I would like the lazy agent, please. Would you not, if I'm going to hire an agent, do you not want the one that's up at 7 a.m. making those calls? Now, I personally am not the 7 a.m. call agent, but there's your script for if you decide you want to become that agent. Expired listings, it's kind of like riding the rodeo. It's kind of like riding a bull in the rodeo. Typically on the phone, it's that first 8 seconds. Can you get through it? They've talked to 20, 30 other agents. What pitch do you have that's different? How are you going to separate yourself? You know, I go with authenticity. You know, ring, ring, they pick up the phone. I can normally hear the FU in their voice. And so I'll call it out. Sounds like you maybe have gotten hit up by about 30 of my compadres in the last hour. Is that the case? Yeah, oh my God, you guys keep calling. Dude, totally get it. Totally get it. You know, well, the best way to make that stop, I'll head over there right now. We'll get a listing agreement in place and those agents will quit calling you and I'll handle those calls. But so that first 8 seconds, just keeping them on the phone for the expired tends to be the tough part. I'll tell you, the for sale by owner is a little bit nicer. The expireds can be a little tough. Those of you with a little bit of the thin skin, hearing the words NO, hey, you got to get over that. You're going to hear no in this business. However, expireds, you're going to hear no maybe more than some other options. These are strangers. They're getting hit up by 35 people. It's kind of a numbers game of I just got to keep making my calls till I can get an appointment. And some of us don't have the constitution to take that kind of negativity. This may not be the path for you. Those of you who don't mind talking to strangers, knowing that it's not personal, that they're not saying I hate you as an individual. They're just saying I don't need your services right now. And this may be right up your alley because you can dial quickly. You can knock out, 20, 30, 40 dials a morning. And so these services will sell you a list of for sale by owners and expireds. Now, what some agents like to do with expireds, what my team did with expireds, was instead of calling the homes that expired fresh this morning, is we typically would go back 12 months, 6 months, and find homes that had expired a year ago. And then we have to check on the MLS to make sure they didn't relist and that they didn't sell. But if they hadn't, then we reached out. There's a good chance there's 2 things that typically cause a home not to sell. The number 1 factor is price. Price. Number 2 tends to be condition and marketing. Well, let's say they were trying to sell it for $300,000 last year, but the home is really probably only worth $285,000. Well, home prices here in the Plano area, and depending on the neighborhood, have gone up anywhere from about 4 to 8%. Their home had gone up 5% in price. They're looking at, instead of $300,000, when it was really worth $285,000 when they tried to sell it, now the home may actually be worth $300,000. So that might be a phone call that they're more warm to receive. Hey, Ray, Hunter Webb and Keller Williams, how are you this morning? Good. Awesome. I was looking over some old listings and noticed about a year ago, it looks like maybe you had a home over off of Maple Leaf Drive that was for sale. Does that sound familiar? Yep, sound familiar. Beautiful. Well, Did the home end up ever selling? I'm not seeing it on the MLS. No, we never ended up getting it under contract. Totally understand. Any idea why maybe it didn't sell? I think our agents sucked. Our pictures were horrible. Yeah, I'm looking at it online. Doesn't look like they used a pro for that. They used their iPhone. Yeah, I can't believe they used their iPhone. Yeah, that happens, unfortunately. And did you guys get any feedback on the price you had? Yeah, a couple of buyers thought it was a little high, but we still need to net 300. Well, awesome. So have you given any thought putting it back on the market? Well, not really. What if we were able to get you that $300,000 today? Well, I don't know. We might think about it. Well, Ray, the reason why I'm calling really is my team specializes in second chance selling. In other words, we work with sellers just like yourself who maybe didn't get the right service the first time around and unfortunately weren't successful getting their home sold. That's what we specialize is in selling homes the second time around. We've got really aggressive marketing, really aggressive price strategy. What I'd love to do, just come by maybe this afternoon or first thing tomorrow morning, just meet with you for about 10 to 15 minutes, go over my team's marketing approach and our pricing strategy and see if maybe we couldn't get you the amount of money you and your family were looking for. If we did get the home sold, where do you guys think you would head to? And that's where I go from. So we focused our expired efforts on previously expired homes. It takes a little bit more work because I have to pull the expireds up from 6 months ago, 12 months ago, and then I have to cross-reference them on the MLS. So it takes a little bit more work. But to me, I found that was more comfortable for me because I wasn't calling them at 7 in the morning. I wasn't the 35th agent to call them that day. There's a good chance Ray hadn't talked to a real estate agent in 6 months because he's been expired for that long. And he's just been forgotten about. Well, we didn't forget about you, Ray. We want to sell your house. We specialize in selling homes that did not sell the first time around on the market.
How do you get access to data that's 6 months old?
So the services will allow you to go back and search previous. So if you pay for any of those companies, they will typically have a filter that you can set up the dates. You can go back and you can use the MLS to search for the expired listings. You can pull up expired listings every day. The issue is it doesn't have a phone number, a name, and an email, whereas these services will do that. They will scrub it against the do not call list for you. They will give you, a lot of them will give you a confidence score. So like My Plus Leads will tell me next to each name and phone number how confident they are that this information is correct. So I kind of know in the phone call whether I'm actually going to be talking. Like I said, the best of them, maybe 40% of the information is accurate. And it's just because so many different people, we've moved so many different times. There's different phone. I think every one of us probably has random phone numbers associated with us, address. Stuff just gets confusing on the internet. I get calls. My brother and I switched phone numbers when we were in high school. And yet I still get calls asking for John Preston Webb, and he still gets calls asking for William Hunter Webb. So it gets a little screwy. The biggest issue I've run across is sometimes it will list like 13-year-old daughter and her phone number. And boy, when you call and you ask for a 13-year-old daughter and the dad picks up the phone, you didn't know. But oh my God, no, like the last thing I'm doing. So when I've had that happen, I said, sir, I'm just telling you, we get our information off a company that scrubs the web for this stuff. So I'm just letting you know, somewhere out there, your daughter's name is associated with this phone number. I don't know where it came from, but I'm just giving you a heads up. Maybe you need to check in on your 13-year-old daughter and who she's sharing her phone number with. You'd be amazed at the information that is out there on you. Some of the services that I've bought leads off of, the second I pull them up, it will pull up every one of their social media accounts, give me any other email accounts associated with them, tell me your wife's name. I've used one that will show me what car you drive.
I used something before where I was trying to track somebody that accidentally did a Zillow call.
Mm-hmm.
And just briefly, we had like this great 30-minute conversation with them. They wanted to move from Boston here. But I hung up and I was like, yeah, it was awesome. And I forgot to get her email and I just had the phone number or whatever she called me.
Call me back.
And she would never write you back. She would never text back. But I used one of those sites and found a daughter's email address that was connected with the phone number somehow and emailed her and then she forwarded it to the mom. And then like a year or something later, they bought a house.
There you go. So sometimes we feel like we're private. You can feel like a private investigator sometimes.
Yeah. Private investigator.
But it is shocking the amount of information that is out there for all of us. And that cat ain't going back in the bag. So number four, just sold homes, just listed homes. So when you get your first listing, this is an awesome opportunity to reach out. Let the neighbors know, especially if it's an area where I'm farming. Farming is typically, we call it geographic farming, is kind of picking a neighborhood or an area or a section of town and creating a typically minimum 1 year plan to effectively market to that neighborhood. So if it's a neighborhood I want to continue to do business in, I may be sending out a just sold homes or just listed homes. I really like the just sold homes. Anytime we get a home with multiple offers, which is very common right now, I will send out a just sold postcard after the closing, letting them know, congratulations to your neighbors over at 123 Maple Leaf Drive. We got their home sold. We had 13 offers on the home, meaning there were 12 families that want to live in your neighborhood that didn't get a home. Who do you know in Deerfield thinking about selling? That will draw up some interest for you. It's not me saying I think people want to live in Deerfield. No, I have a list of 12 families that have written an offer, that are pre-approved, that want to live in your neighborhood. That's some valuable information.
Is there an expired time for that? Like,
What do you mean?
do you have to do that mailer right away, or can it be like, I don't know, 6-8 months down the line and finally get to that point? Oh yeah, I remember the mailer.
I mean, you want to try, the market will change over 6 to 8 months. So if I'm telling them I had 13 multiple offers and the market's completely different, then they may be like, well, where are those 13 people? And they've all bought since then. But I can find new ones. So, the more close to the closing, probably the better, but there's no hard and fast rule that you can't send out a just sold card. Maybe it's not your listing, but you're wanting to farm a neighborhood. It says you can't say that, 7 homes in your neighborhood were listed last month. All 7 of them sold with under 30 days for over 100% of list price. Not representing that I represented those homes. I'm just telling you, here's what happened in your neighborhood. Your neighborhood's extremely hot. There's less than 1 month inventory. So just sold, just listed, really good way, especially within your farm. Obviously, number 5, past clients. Huge source. It's mind-blowing seeing some of these agents that have been in the business for 10 to 15, 20 years that are they're not putting up better numbers, yet they're still doing for sale by owners. They're still doing expired listings. They're still doing Zillow Make Me Move. And they've been in this business for 15 years and they do on average about $5 million a year. And it's like, dude, you should be doing about 20 instead of 5, and B, why are we continuing to go out and find new business? Why aren't we loving the point? You've been in this business 15 years at $5 million a year. You've got plenty of past clients. Why aren't you just loving on them? That's more than likely, if you've been in this business 15 years, you got plenty of clients to support your database. Yet they don't seem to ever want to love on their past clients. They're always going out and trying to find new strangers. I like my past clients, at least the majority of them. Here's a stat. The National Association of Realtors every year does a survey to 5,000 buyers and 5,000 sellers. And they ask all the home buyers, would you use your agent again? And over 80% of them say yes every year. And then they ask those of you who had already bought a house, did you use the same agent as you did the first time? And only 10% do. It's not that they don't want to work with us a second time, it's we just never talk to them again. It's so many agents, they go to that closing table, we're best friends up until the day of closing, and then they just never hear from you again. Now let's say you've got $100,000 burning a hole in your pocket today, and you decide to call up JP Morgan or name another big stock brokerage house. But you call up just your individual little stockbroker, your wealth investor, and you say, hey, Mike, I've got $100,000. I'm going to invest with you. I hear you pick the right stocks. You put them in you got a great portfolio. Maybe it's hedge funds, whatever the case. I'm going to give you $100,000. And I want you to invest it for me. Now, do you think I have an expectation that at least sometime in the next couple months, I'm going to hear from Mike about how that investment's doing? Wouldn't you? I hand somebody $100,000. I kind of want to hear periodically, I'd at least like once a quarter from Mike to pick up the phone and say, hey, Hunter, just let you know, I've turned your 100 into $150,000. We put it in cryptocurrency. But then this weekend happened and we lost 20% of it. We're now down to 110,000. Bitcoin took a big hit this weekend. I'd expect that update from him. He's investing my money. Yet we will sell people $1 million houses, the largest investment they will ever make, and then we'll never talk to them again. And that's insane. Because I can tell you, Mike doesn't call me within the first 6 months of me giving him $100,000. Mike's no longer going to be my financial advisor. I want somebody that's going to actually provide me financial advice. I call every one of my past clients at least quarterly. Those that have helped purchase a home always have a market update for them. Hey, just want to let you know in your neighborhood right now, there's less than a month's inventory. Homes are selling for about 101% of list price. Price per square foot median is about $250 in your neighborhood. Right now, there's only 2 active listings. Last month, 3 sold. Because this is the largest investment they've ever made. They trusted me to help them not just find it, but I assume they would like some advice on what's happening with their investment after the closing date. And so those past clients, that's the thing. They consistently say, hey, we want to work with the agent that helped us purchase this home, and yet they consistently don't, and that's on us. Now here's a strategy. Knowing those stats, if I'm a listing agent, what would I do? Think about that. Knowing that most buyers end up not using the agent that helped them buy their house because that agent doesn't stay in contact. As a listing agent, what would you do with that stat? I might market to the people that buy my listings. I know where they live. I have their address. I probably have their phone number at some point in the closing. And I know that their agent, statistically speaking, is no longer going to stay in touch with them. They just became my past client. They have done studies that show that listing agents that effectively market to the people that buy their house, within 6 months' time, they will interview those people. And when they ask them who helped you buy the house, they'll name the listing agent, not the agent they actually used. Because that agent no longer is in contact with them, while the seller's agent's calling them once a month just to check in. How you guys liking the new house? Are you having any issues? I'm still in contact with the sellers. I'd be happy to help get any questions answered for you. Yeah, there's a light switch in the second bedroom closet and we flip it and we have no idea what the hell it does. Oh, well, that's actually, he wired it into your neighbor's house. It's turning on their sprinkler system inside and watering their house. You know, you never know, but you are in contact with the seller. You can get that information for them. So if I'm a listing agent, I'm going to market to every buyer that buys one of my house. They immediately get put into my database and I treat them like they were my past client. Absolutely. They're under no exclusive right or agreement at that point. Contract is over. Transaction is done. Not crossing any signs. They're not listed on the MLS. They're free game. Yeah. And like I said, they've done the studies that by 6 months, they won't remember their own agent because you're the one that's staying in touch with them. So that can be a huge source. Don't forget to love on the people that have already, like, it's mind blowing that some agents don't love on their past clients. They've already done business with you. They've already shown you, I will do business with you. Well, they're not going to move for the next 5 years. I told you guys a story yesterday of the clients I helped last year up in Tacoma that within a year's time are having to make a huge move because life changes. 2020, man, tons of people didn't think they were moved. Told you guys myself in April, I had to bet you $1 million I'm going to be in Seattle by the end of this year. Sure enough, we were in Texas by the end of May. Life happens and it happens quickly. So stay in touch with past clients. Allied Resources. So we're running out of time, so we may have to wrap up some of this tomorrow, which is A-okay. I kind of buffer in knowing some of these days go a little long. Allied Resources. These are the people you do business with. You're going to have a lot of phone calls as a new agent from title companies, from lenders, from insurance brokers. They all want to treat you to lunch, just want to get to know you. And that's awesome. You're looking for those connections. We have amazing connections. We have Lawyers Title right here, Republic Title right down the street. Those are our 2 preferred title companies. We have Donna Hamback with Highlands Mortgage inside the Market Center. And so those are great sources. I've used Donna for all 12 years of my career. She always does an amazing job. I cannot speak highly enough about her service. So I'm a huge fan. But one of the things as a new agent, if these folks are wanting to take you out to lunch, let them. Always good to get a free meal. Never turn down a conversation. It's my thoughts. Never know what you might learn from it. But when they go, I'd love to be your preferred blank, whatever the industry is. Awesome. How can you help me grow my business? That's how you get my business. You want to be my inspector for life? Refer me my first client. I'll never call another inspector. You want to be my lender for life? Refer me my first client. You can buy my loyalty today. Like, I'm that cheap. One client's all it's going to take. You will be, especially as a new agent, if your first deal comes from a lender referring you that client, you think you've got a little loyalty to that lender for the rest of your career? You damn right you do. Why these vendors don't understand that and try to tee you up good referral. Teach them. Tell them, you want my business, send me referrals. I'll send you all my deals, you send me some. Your inspector, if I'm doing an inspection and this is the 7th inspection we've done this year and you haven't given me a single referral, I'm gonna start talking to other inspectors. Doesn't have to be real estate related. I've talked, the people you've earned the right to ask for business, the people you've been doing business with. Their restaurant you go to eat at every Friday night. You think you've earned the right to ask that owner for referrals? I think so. You've been supporting his establishment every Friday night for the past 15 years. Every time you come in, he's got your two cold beers poured. He's got the pizza already in the oven. He knows you. You're that loyal of a customer. I've earned the right to discuss business with him and say, hey, I'm really excited about a new venture I've got. I've been bringing friends and family into your pizza place for the last 20 years. Probably brought you 10 to 15 lifetime customers that love your pizza now as much as I do. Here's how you can help me out. When you hear somebody thinking about making a move in real estate, I'd love the opportunity just to see if I might be a good fit to help them achieve their real estate related goals. Person that's been cutting your hair for the last 10 years, person that takes care of your yard, the guy that's coming over and cleaning your pool, the general contractor you've been working with. A lot of those general contractors that I work with on the real estate side, they know when people are moving. Because they're the ones that go over and get their homes ready before fixing. The landscaper, they know because a lot of people like to get their yards in good shape. And they'll do a big project. Instead of just coming over and cut my yard, I now need you to mulch it. And we want to put some flower beds up front and we want to trim the trees. Well, why are you wanting to do that, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson? Oh, we're thinking we're going to be putting our home on the market in the next couple months. Boom. If I'm doing my job, then that landscape guy immediately calls me, hey man, I got my clients over at Maple Leaf Drive, the Johnsons, really awesome folks. I gave them your card, but I actually, because I trained my vendors the right way, I got their information for you, and I told them you'd be giving them a call this afternoon at 5. So not only do I want to train my vendors and I want referrals, but if I can really train them, it's awesome if they'll hand out my card. I really appreciate that. But what would be even better is if you could arrange it so that I can call and make connection, and you give me their information. I do that for Donna. Like when I refer a client back to Donna, I don't give my client Donna's card. I do, but then I say what I'm going to do is when would be a good time for Donna to give you a call? 3 o'clock tomorrow? Beautiful. So I walk down to Donna's office and I go, Donna, here are my clients. They need to get pre-approved. We're probably going to be looking, we hope, in the $600,000 range in Dallas. Here's their information. I told them you give them a call at 3 o'clock. Think about it. Anybody else? Anybody dated before? I hope you've had a few dates at some point in your life. Well, as a guy, if I go out to the bar tonight and I meet a really beautiful girl and I give her my phone number, girls, what do you think is going to happen? You think I'm going to get a phone call back?
Of course you will.
Now, if I smooth talk my way into getting her phone number, do you think there's a chance maybe I'm getting to go on a date this Friday? At least at that point, it's up to me whether I got the cojones to call her and ask. A lot of people don't like saying no. They'll typically, even myself, like, I'll give you a first date. Worst is going to happen is we realize we're not a good mix. And we had a good Mexican dinner and had a couple margaritas and went our separate ways. Most of the time, if they were willing to give you their phone number, they were at least willing to go out on one date with you. If they gave you their phone number, now, if you get the best friend's phone number because they gave you the wrong number, then you know where you stand. But typically, if I can call them, I have a little bit more control over the situation. Same thing works with your referrals. Ideally, I would love to be teed up so that they know my call's coming. Hey, awesome. My buddy Hunter is the best real estate agent in North Texas. I'm going to have him reach out. Would it be better if he gave you a call during work hours, or you want him to call you at home? I'll give him a call this evening. Sweet. I'll have him give you a call. That's the perfect referral, because then I'm in control of making communication instead of just waiting on somebody I've never met and have no way of like finding that has my card and hoping that they call me from it. Geographic farm. This is one of those longer term ones. It's, you know, picking a geographic farm. We could do a whole 3-hour class on farming, but farming is picking typically a neighborhood. Sometimes it's not the whole neighborhood. So as a new agent, the things I'd be most interested in my farm, the total number of homes. I really think anything over about 300, it's going to get expensive on you and pretty quickly if you're marketing once a month or more often. And so most of us don't have a budget to go out and, you know, immediately start a farm with 2,000. I've had some agents that, you know, they can barely afford to do 50 homes. That's fine. Let's set up the farm, and in your neighborhood maybe have 500 homes. Let's pick 2 or 3 streets to start with. And let's put a plan in place for the next 12 months to market to those folks by bringing them items of value, by dropping off neighborhood stats and market updates, by dropping off what's going on in the area. So maybe over the 4th of July in June, I drop off a postcard with all the dates of all the fireworks specials. Maybe in July, I print up a 6-month look at their neighborhood. But I've got an item that I'm basically once a month either mailing or physically door knocking and dropping off at their door. I'm looking for size of the neighborhood. I want to see, is one agent dominating the neighborhood? It's funny, I have agents tell me all the time, well, I was going to farm my own neighborhood, but there's an agent that totally dominates it. And so we pull up the stats, and I basically run a search for the last 2 years and see who's been the listing agent. Very rarely did the agent that's dominating actually dominate. They've done some good marketing because in your mind, they were the neighborhood expert. So we may want to look into what they're doing for marketing that gave you that impression, but maybe 20 homes sold in the last 2 years and they've sold 2 of them. That's 10%. That's not a horrible share of the market. Where I'm getting at least a little concerned is if I'm seeing, okay, 25% of all listings in the neighborhood belong to this agent. Does not mean I will not choose that to be the neighborhood I farm. However, I at least need to be cognizant that there is somebody that is probably farming this neighborhood as well. Typically, if I see less than 10% for any agent, then I just assume if anyone is farming this neighborhood, they're doing a crap job of it. And so that's a really good opportunity. I want to pick a price point that I'm comfortable with. I want a price point that's selling. You know, getting $5 million listings, they're great. We'd all love them. They also will sit on you for 2 years. There's not as many of them. So maybe you have 2 neighborhoods. If you really want to go after the luxury, I'd still find an average neighborhood or a more medium price neighborhood so that I had an opportunity for that turnover. I want to know what the turnover rate of the neighborhood is. Out of every 100 homes, how many sell a year? So I have to kind of get a rough estimation of how many homes are in the neighborhood. We can help you with that. And then how many sold last year? Okay, there's 200 homes in the neighborhood, 40 homes sold. That's a 20% turnover rate. That's hella nice. Most neighborhoods you're going to find are roughly around 5%. Anything under than 5%, I'm maybe a little bit worried. Is there enough turnover to give me the business I want? I've had agents argue the other side saying, well, if there's only been a 5% turnover the last 5 years, it means there's a lot of pent-up demand. They're all about to move. Theoretically, but there are neighborhoods where turnover is slower. Canyon Creek, people get in that neighborhood, they don't want to leave. That tends to be a destination neighborhood. Tends to be a neighborhood with a lot of foot. Like my parents are in a neighborhood like that when we lived here in the 80s, they would drive through that neighborhood and go, one day we'd like to live there. And then they made a life that allowed them to build a custom home in that neighborhood. They've been there since 1995, and they ain't going nowhere. My mom can walk down the street. There's a library with a park and a pond. She loves taking the dogs there. The elementary school's across the street. That will always be there. So you know what you're going to look out on. with a nice playground that we can go take dogs over to. So it's just a great location for them. It's centrally located in Plano. That's where they want to stay. There are neighborhoods like that that are a little bit lower on the turnover rate. Then there are a lot of communities out here in North Texas. We're a very transient community, so a lot of neighborhoods will have that 5 to 10% turnover rate. I want it to typically be either the neighborhood I live in or at least the area I'm most comfortable with. I fell backwards into a farm for about 4 years. I helped a young lady, good friend of mine, purchase a condo down in the Bordeaux condos of Dallas. It's down off of 75, real close to the airport. And it was built originally as pilot's quarters. Very old colonial style, almost look like you're in Boston. These huge green front yards. Have a good one. And so I helped her buy it. And then literally 6 months later, we turned around and sold it. She got a whim and decided to move to California. Sold that one, picked up another listing in the area, sold that one, picked up a third listing within about a month. And at that point, I'm like, well, I'd be an idiot not to start farming it. We ended up selling like 14 of them in 3 years. To the point where any other agent that was listing a home in that area would call me to get advice on it. So it wasn't necessarily purposeful, but it was kind of a bitch because it was a good 40-minute drive down there every time. So if I were to pick my farm, I would have much preferred my neighborhood because I was doing open houses. We were door knocking. We did a lot of so one of the door knocking things we like to do is we like to pick a charity once a quarter that's fairly local. So not only do I want to help your neighborhood, I want to be a positive impact in the neighborhood. So we would do like a drive for like Operation Kindness. The pet organization. A lot of people think they need like pet food and stuff. No, they can buy that stuff super cheap, way cheaper than you as a consumer can buy it. You know what they can't get? Office supplies, pens, paper towels, stuff like that they needed. One of the best drives if you're going to farm a neighborhood, the local elementary school. May not be aware of this, but the average teacher in the state of Texas spends over $2,700 on school supplies every year. What if at the beginning of the school year, or at the beginning of the second semester, you called up and spoke to the principal, said, hey, I'd really be interested in putting together a supply drive to help your teachers out. What supplies could they need? Especially this year. They're having to spend a lot of money on that PPE stuff. And so we would then pass out a flyer saying, hey, we're going to come back in a week and we're going to collect the following supplies. We're doing this to help your school, which is helping your real estate prices. Here's what they need. Then we would come back and walk around the neighborhood and pick up the supplies. Dude, neighbors will be waiting outside. They think that's pretty damn cool. Because even if other agents are farming the neighborhood, they ain't trying to help. That's why I pick a community I want to be in, because I want to be a part of the community and I want to give back to that community. So geographic farming can be a huge source of business. You ask my mom, her biggest regret in this business, it's that in 2007, when the market took a downturn, she decided to cut the budget on farming in neighborhoods. She'd been farming for the first 15 years of her career. We still get a few listings in that neighborhood every year, not like we used to. She gave up on farming it for about 4 years, and we went back and tried farming it. At that point, another agent had kind of taken over the demographics of that neighborhood. It changed quite a bit. And we just have not been effective in getting the market share that we had. We still, like I said, we'll get a couple listings every year. So we do okay out of that neighborhood. Our efforts aren't completely wasted. It's well worth the money we spend to market. But boy, what we were getting was 7, 8, 9, 10 listings a year out of just that neighborhood of $500,000 houses. It's not a bad year if I can get 10 $500,000 listings in one neighborhood. So geographic farming, the geographic farming is not that instantaneous. You know, it may be 6 months before I start to really see traction. I'll tell you the truth, the first postcard you send, it's going in the trash. So is the second. Maybe if you're door knocking and you actually start to put a face to the name at least once a quarter, instead of mailing the piece, I show up and I door knock it. Now, by the end of the year, I've probably met about 75% of the neighbors because I'll do it at different times to catch different folks. Now, all of a sudden, those pieces, since they know me, aren't getting thrown in the trash. They're at least reading them for 15 seconds, then throwing them in the trash. But now I've got my first listing in that neighborhood. I've sent out a just listed, under contract, and just sold postcard. I've held it open for 2 weekends with my sign that has the same logo that's on all the postcards I send. I'm also running a Facebook ad campaign with the same look and feel to it towards that area, if you can geographically target your Facebook ads. Now, within about 12 months, Maybe my postcard doesn't get thrown away. It gets a magnet and put up on the fridge. That's when I know I'm making it. But so it's that consistency of hitting them at least once a month. So I advise agents at Farm and Neighborhood to at minimum come up with a plan for 6 months. Really would love to see a plan for 12 months. And what good agents will do is I'll prepare the pieces. So if I'm going to send a postcard out for 12 months, outside of the stats postcards, which will change based on the stats. So I don't want to print up the, fall stats here in the middle of January, because I don't know what the market's going to look like in 9 months. If you know, then boy, you should be in Vegas right now making a lot of money. But I know that if I'm going to send out a happy holidays card in December, why not go ahead and do that today? Get it printed up. A, much better chance I'm going to send it out now that I've already paid to print it up. B, hopefully I'm getting busy. And so once I get busy, I may not have time for this stuff. So plan the whole year out, prepare what you can, I call those rainy day activities, time hacks. Nobody can manage time, but what we can do is get the most out of the minutes we're given. And so instead of me, once a month having to think about what piece I want to create and then getting that piece executed, man, pick a day, plan it all out. Pick another day, execute it all. So that all I have to do is make up those stats postcards. The rest of them are already ready to go every month. So that's kind of, we got into Geographic Farm. We're going to call it a day, but tomorrow we're going to go over apartments, corporations, builders, banks, third-party companies, investors, door-to-door canvassing, client parties, networking events, social functions and community events, seminars, booth and weddings, teaching and speaking opportunities, kiosks and high traffic areas. And we'll get into all that fun marketing, like newspapers. I don't know why that is number one. Literally not a single agent uses the newspaper anymore, but no, that is for tomorrow's lesson. So you guys are good for today. We do have the committee meetings going on the rest of this afternoon. Feel free to pop into that. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, y'all have a lovely day. Online people, I am so sorry about the audio issues today. I appreciate you guys hanging in with us. Tomorrow, all of these people are going to be on mute. We're going to let you talk the whole day. So get those vocal cords rested up. We want to hear from you. Sorry, it felt like you guys were the forgotten stepchildren. You're not. We love you. Anything I can do to help you guys, just let me know. Y'all have an awesome afternoon. Party hard, lead generate. Do that daily 10-4. Cool. Let me,
Yeah, I didn't get, I still have to,